Chapter 74. In the end, Suwon still added ice-cold little hands and ends of the earth into the guild. Seeing the two people entering the guild, Windless was somewhat surprised at first. Later, Suwon told him that she knew these two people and could trust them, so Windless didn't say anything. Right now, there were only 6 of them in the guild. Seeing Suwon enter the guild, the happiest was Dancing Baby. She originally had no intention of leveling, so she simply left the team and returned to the main city, starting to use the loudspeaker to recruit new people in the world channel. The remaining 5 people just happened to form a small team. 2 mages, 2 priests, 1 warrior. This was the best configuration to farm experience. Apart from Fiery Ice Walker, the other 4 people were all old players. Regarding how to carry out the best team coordination, everyone had a clear idea. Small ice-cold little feet, as a fire mage, and Fiery Ice Walker, the 2 people split into 2 paths and began to infinitely attract monsters on the map. Windless served as the main MT responsible for resisting monsters and attracting aggro. Suwon and Ends of the Earth, the 2 priests, were responsible for healing Windless from time to time. The 5 people slowly got used to each other and gradually cooperated seamlessly. After farming for an hour, because their levels increased, they left the first floor of the underground palace and entered the second floor of the underground palace. At this time, the Phoenix Dances Guild's channel was also extraordinarily lively. Because Dancing Baby, generously, kept using gold coins and props to recruit people in the world channel, she really did find some scattered players. When these 3 players entered the guild and saw that the guild leader was Windless, they first froze for a moment. Because among the scattered players, Windless had a very high reputation, and now that he created his own guild, everyone was still very optimistic about the prospects of this guild. Immediately, there were sharp-eyed people who discovered that the vice leader of the guild was impressively Su Chingwanyu. Everyone immediately lost their composure. Who is Su Chingwanyu? That was once Shurtian's vice leader, a place that was below 1 person and above tens of thousands of people. Don't look at how she had been turned white before, but now, she actually rushed to level 55 again. And everyone knew that her character still retained the high-level priest skills that she originally obtained when Shurtian opened the dungeon. For a time, the guild's newcomers spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Very soon, the entire Huaxia District 4 knew that Windless established a guild and the guild's vice leader was Su Chingwanyu. Regarding this, Wolfsfang and Shurtian didn't express any opinion. Seeing that Wolfsfang and Shurtian didn't have the intention to pursue the matter, those second-line guilds' guild leaders began to secretly regret. If they knew that Su Chingwanyu's comeback would be so easy, they should have made the first move to gain the upper hand. As a result, Suwon's game mailbox was once again flooded. Suwon, who was currently farming experience, simply didn't have time to look and directly blocked them. Meanwhile, on the guild side, as an elder, Dancing Baby's hands had grown tired of accepting new members. Unfortunately, a level 1 guild could only have a maximum of 100 members. Hence, the guild was quickly filled to the brim. On the other hand, she was very satisfied with organizing everyone to do guild quests together. This way, they would be able to quickly rise to a level 2 guild and increase the number of members from the original 100 to 300. A newly formed guild was like a newly established chat group, always very lively. Although they knew that Suwon, Windless and the others were farming experience in the underground palace and didn't have time to chat, the guild's newcomers still entertained themselves and chatted happily in the guild channel. Icy Cold Small Feet, who had always liked to join in on the fun, took advantage of the gap of just eliminating a group of monsters and secretly glanced at the guild channel. As a result, he saw that everyone was YY about Su Chingwanyu and Windless' relationship. All kinds of guesses, all kinds of jokes, and all kinds of together comments. This made icy cold small feet couldn't help but slip and his entire person almost fell to the ground. A group of mortals actually still dared to make presumptuous guesses. You guys are definitely tired of living. Remembering the Eternal Night Guild's guild leader that he had met once, icy cold small feet turned around and secretly sized up Windless. Although Windless was also quite handsome, after all, he was young and didn't have any imposing manner. Compared to Night Rain, he was immediately defeated, right? Moreover, icy cold small feet also heard his older brother say last night that their guild leader was getting more and more insane. If Night Rain knew these people's thoughts, icy cold small feet felt that these people would definitely die very miserably, very miserably, miserably. The 5-person team kept farming on the second floor of the underground palace until they went offline at night. Su Wan was already level 57 at this time, Binghua Walker was level 56, Ends of the Earth and Icy Cold Small Feet had also entered the ranks of level 60. Windless was level 59, still lacking a large amount of experience from advancing to 60. The 5 people agreed on the time to go online the next day and went offline together. Today, they farmed for a day and Su Wan had been maintaining high-intensity output and replenishment. Coming out of the game connection chamber, Su Wan's complexion was a bit pale. She had to say that in this mission world, not only did her ex-girlfriend's hardware equipment not pass, even the software was a lot worse than Su Rui's. This kind of high-intensity continuous online really wasn't what an average girl could bear. Because she was really too tired, Su Wan filled a bathtub full of hot water in the bathroom of the room. She planned to take a bath first to relieve her fatigue. As a result, she unknowingly fell asleep while soaking. By the time Su Wan woke up, she discovered that she had already returned to the bed in the bedroom. She had already changed into clean pajamas and Su Rui was leaning over her bedside. Her hand was still tightly held in Su Rui's palm. Su Wan didn't pull out her hand. She just slightly turned her face to the side and quietly looked at Su Rui's sleeping appearance with the help of the faint wall lamp at the head of the bed. When he was sleeping, that tranquil posture was like a flawless and innocent child. It was very hard for people to imagine that he was once a homicidal maniac. Or perhaps, in Su Rui's world, right and wrong, good and evil had always been particularly simple and pure. What he loved, he would use everything to protect. What he hated, he would use all means to destroy it and make it disappear. Su Rui, if you could always be like this, how good would that be? You shouldn't like me, I'm not worthy of your love. Su Wan felt that she wasn't worthy of Su Rui's infatuation. She wasn't a pure person. She had done a lot of unscrupulous things that went against her conscience. And when she did those things, she wasn't as simple and straightforward as Su Rui. Her heart had been dyed into a pitch-black color a long time ago, a black that couldn't be washed away no matter how much she washed it. I'm not happy, I don't want anyone to be happy. This is me, Su Wan. Su Wan softly sighed. The weak sigh couldn't escape Su Rui's sharp ears. He slowly woke up and his confused eyes met Su Wan's gaze. You're awake, Su Rui said while raising his hand. His slender and powerful big hand very naturally caressed Su Wan's long hair. In this world, Su Wan's hair was long and straight, especially smooth to the touch. Thank you. Su Wan didn't avoid Su Rui's hand and instead thanked him in a low voice. You're too tired, you need to rest. Su Rui didn't like to hear Su Wan say thank you to him. He focused his gaze and his tone was especially serious. I know you're very capable, Su Wan. But in the online world, your abilities and talents are limited by objective conditions. Now isn't the time for you to show off. You still have me. Everything is fine if you rely on me. I won't rely on anyone. Su Wan's cold gaze looked at Su Rui and her tone became somewhat bitingly cold, but I can use anyone. In this world, other than herself, she couldn't rely on anyone else. Because when relying on someone becomes a habit that you can't get rid of, that person will become your everything in life. You'll be happy because he's happy and sad because he's sad. When one day, he leaves without looking back, who can you still rely on? Soo-won had experienced that kind of despair before. It was an unforgettable experience. She admitted that she was a coward. Because she was ruthlessly hurt, the current her didn't dare to believe in any feelings and was also unwilling to give a trace of sincerity. She had long been afraid. Being stared at coldly by Soo-won, Soo-rui just indifferently smiled. It's fine if you don't rely on me. You're welcome to use me at any time. If you're willing, you must use me for a lifetime. No matter how cold and inhuman she pretended to be, Soo-rui's perception had always been extraordinarily strong. In that moment just now, he captured the fear and panic in Soo-won's emotions. She was afraid of his approach. She was terrified of this feeling. This made Soo-rui feel a bit distressed. Sometimes, we always meet the wrong person at the right time. And at the wrong time, we will meet the truly right person by some strange coincidence. And at that time, do you still have the strength and courage to courageously love again? A moth flies into a flame, at the cost of its life. If that moth had the chance to be reborn, would it still throw itself into the sea of fire without hesitation? Chapter 75. Before Lingshan Game updated the crossover channel, Soo-won finally rose to level 60. The 5-person team that farmed experience together finally got the chance to rest. Windless went offline because of some private matters. Ice-Cold Small Feet and Binghua Walker couldn't wait to join the guild channel and chat with other guild members. Of course, the main content of the chat was mainly flirting, harmoniously, with beauties. Ends of the Earth, who spoke as little as Windless, silently went to complete a mission by himself. He and Ice-Cold Small Feet were classmates in real life. Regarding that guy's degree of derailing, he had long since known in detail. Soo-won also continued to do some main and side missions outside the city. After finishing those missions that had been put aside for a long time, she went offline early. Tomorrow was the day the game system was updated and upgraded. She could have a good rest for a day. This was the first time Soo-won went offline earlier than Soo-rui. The temperature in Lijiang City was getting colder day by day. When Soo-won walked to the living room, she unexpectedly saw sporadic snowflakes floating outside the living room window. It's snowing. Soo-won involuntarily walked to the window and looked at the snowflakes fluttering in the air. Her expression was especially serene that when Soo-rui came out of the guest room, he saw Soo-won standing quietly by the window. She didn't know how long she had been standing there, her whole body was filled with a lonely aura. Hungry? I'll call the chef to come over in advance. Soo-rui walked behind Soo-won. As he spoke, he raised his hand to hold her shoulders. Soo-won just happened to turn around at this time. Let's go out for a walk today and eat outside on the way. Regarding Soo-won's proposal, Soo-rui never refused. So after the two people dressed neatly, they went downstairs together. In the vast expanse of white flying snow, the two people walked side by side on the cold street, their steps slow and the atmosphere harmonious. After walking for a while, a layer of sparkling and translucent white snow had fallen on top of the two people's heads. Taking advantage of waiting for the traffic light, Soo-rui turned around and raised his hand to sweep the white snow on Soo-won's head. Soo-won also tiptoed and swept the snow-white snow on Soo-rui's shoulder. The two people were very close to each other, the white air they exhaled entangled together. Seeing that Soo-won's fingers were frozen red, Soo-rui couldn't help but use his big hand to tightly hold Soo-won's hand in his palm. Soo-won didn't say anything and quietly followed Soo-rui. She let him lead her across the road and let him lead her hand into a couple's restaurant. Until Su Rui finished ordering, Su Wan still had a tranquil look on her face. "You're so quiet today." Su Rui looked at Su Wan and whispered, "Is something on your mind?" "No, I'm always this quiet when I want to scheme against others." Su Wan suddenly gave Su Rui a brilliant smile. Seeing her smile, Su Rui couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. "Are you planning to settle the score with Di Shi Tian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao?" "Yeah, I've waited too long for this opportunity." Su Wan supported her cheek with one hand and turned her head to look at Su Rui on the other side of the table. "After tomorrow's update, Wuxia's 8 major districts will realize information sharing, and the underground Imperial Palace is the first instance that all guilds want to snatch. Will you participate?" The underground Imperial Palace was the new level 60 instance that appeared after the last system update. It was currently the highest level and most difficult instance in Lingshan. Su Rui's gaze flickered and the corner of his mouth curled up. "What, you want that first kill?" "That's right." Su Wan nodded. "I want the first kill. Of course, what I want the most is actually that special skill in the first kill reward." "Then I wish you success." Su Rui raised his eyebrows at Su Wan, his voice carrying a trace of joy. Su Wan lowered her eyes and raised them again after a moment. She smiled and looked at Su Rui. "This time, I still need you to help me with something." "Of course, you can raise your conditions." "Any conditions?" Su Rui slightly leaned forward, narrowed his eyes and dangerously looked at Su Wan. Su Wan somewhat fearlessly looked back at Su Rui. "What do you want?" Su Rui leaned against the chair and looked at Su Wan helplessly. "Forget it, I can't think of it now." "I'll think of it later." "Okay." Su Wan lightly lowered her eyelids, hiding the smile in her eyes. The two people ordered a couple's set meal. After eating, it was already very late. The snow was getting heavier and the entire street was a vast expanse of whiteness. Coming out of the restaurant, facing the biting cold wind and the sky full of fluttering snow, Su Rui's gaze was absent-minded for a moment. Some distant and fuzzy memories flashed through Su Rui's mind. He suddenly pulled Su Wan's hand and looked at her vaguely. "I'll carry you home, okay?" As he spoke, he had already gently bent down. Su Wan did not answer and wordlessly jumped onto Su Rui's back. Facing the wind and snow, Su Rui was silent the whole way, leaving behind a string of footprints in the snow. Su Wan stuck her face on Su Rui's back and a pair of hands tightly hugged his neck. The world was silent. Su Wan felt as if she could hear Su Rui's heartbeat. Beat, 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 especially powerful heartbeat. Su Rui. Not knowing how long had passed, Su Wan suddenly spoke in a low voice. Because her face was still buried in his back, Su Wan's voice was muffled right now. "Are you thinking of your sister?" Sister. A distant yet familiar word. Su Rui's footsteps slightly paused, and finally continued to stride forward. "I know, sister actually died a long time ago." In the cold wind, Su Rui's voice was somewhat dull and low. After entering the lost space, he had actually looked up all the plots of the plane he was in. "I don't like Xianyuan Rui. He doesn't give people a good feeling. I just simply want to protect sister, just like how she protected me when I was a child. However, she doesn't seem to like my protection." Speaking of his sister, Su Rui's face was somewhat gloomy. His perception was sharper than anyone else since he was a child. At that time, his father was strict and his mother was indifferent. The only thing that made him feel warm and comfortable was his sister's care and love. The little Su Rui swore in his heart that he would properly protect his sister for the rest of his life, but then Xianyuan Rui appeared. Sister fell in love with Xianyuan Rui. That was a seemingly gentle and refined prince. Su Rui did not like him. Even Su Rui had vaguely foreseen that his sister would not be happy with him. He did everything he could to prevent his sister from being together with him. As a result, his sister began to alienate and loathe him. His father's attitude towards him became even more indifferent. Even his mother, who didn't care about him all year round, also sighed at him. Slowly, Su Rui began to give up. He thought that even if he was alone in this life, he could still continue to live, right? So in the following years, Su Rui became more and more indifferent, more and more ruthless, more and more paranoid. Until Su Wan appeared. Perhaps in everyone's life, there will be such a person. He or she will appear inadvertently and then quietly leave. Obviously, it's only a short period of time, but that instant of palpitation and heartbeat can make you remember it for a lifetime. Su Wan in Su Rui's life was such a role. Chapter 76. Lingshan World's highly anticipated cross-district passage was finally opened. When Su Wan went online again, the entire World Channel was in full swing discussing which district Supreme Guild would get the first kill of the underground Imperial Palace dungeon. It must be known that this was the first kill after the information was shared. No matter which guild got it, it would be a gargantuan honor. After Su Wan went online, she saw that Windless was also online. She immediately contacted Windless and talked about the dungeon. Windless was still very unfamiliar with the underground Imperial Palace dungeon. Because he had never entered it, he didn't know how troublesome it was inside. Therefore, Windless was full of confidence in this dungeon. He immediately pulled up the team, still the original 5 people. When everyone followed the team leader and teleported to the entrance of the underground Imperial Palace dungeon, Fire Ice Walker was immediately shocked by the sea of people in front of him. And Dancing Baby, who used a teleportation scroll to come and watch the excitement, widened her eyes even more and couldn't help but exclaim, "Heavens! Heavens! Heavens! Why are there so many people?" Right now, the elite members of Hua Xiao's 4 districts that could be called out with their names were basically all present. Among the large group of people, Di Shi Tian was still the most dazzling one. And Hui Mao Yi Xiao followed at Di Shi Tian's side, holding a bottle of yogurt with a confused face and drinking with gusto with a bottle of yogurt with a little penguin drawn on it. That was a special blood replenishing prop in Lingshan World. On normal days, very few people used it to replenish blood, but this thing looked very cute and was very popular with little girls. As for Hui Mao Yi Xiao, who was no longer a little girl, she actually also had such an innocent and pure side. Regarding this, Su Wan only wanted to laugh. Wan Yu Jijie. She had to say that between women and women, especially between current girlfriends and ex-girlfriends, there seemed to be a telepathic connection. Su Wan only glanced at Hui Mao Yi Xiao in the crowd and was immediately discovered by the naturally confused Hui Mao Yi Xiao. She loudly called out and with a smile on her face, she bounced in front of Su Wan. "Wan Yu Jijie, you guys also came to do the dungeon. This dungeon is very difficult. Listen, what an intimate address, what a sweet voice, but you're actually mocking us for overestimating ourselves, right? And making such a loud voice, are you afraid that others won't know that I came?" Su Wan lazily lifted her eyes and swept Hui Mao Yi Xiao a glance. Her tone was as indifferent as ever. "If I remember correctly, I'm younger than you by a month." Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Right now, a lot of people in the surroundings were attracted by Hui Mao Yi Xiao's Wan Yu Jijie just now. There were even busybodies who immediately approached without leaving a trace, wanting to watch Di Shi Tian's new love and old love from a close distance. Unfortunately, Su Wan's reaction was too cold. Moreover, she's a month younger and whatnot. Goddess Wan Yu, you really are indifferently cute. Hui Mao Yi Xiao was indeed older than the original Su Wan by a month, but Su Wan was normally too strong, and Hui Mao Yi Xiao liked to pretend to be naive, causing everyone to feel that Hui Mao Yi Xiao was much younger than Su Wan in Shirtian Guild. Right now, she was mercilessly disgraced by Su Wan. Hui Mao Yi Xiao once again put on the most common delicate and pitiful appearance, as if she had suffered a huge grievance. Slightly pouting her red lips, red eyes, even her voice was trembling, so it turns out that one Yu Jia, no, it turns out that one Yu Mimi is younger than me, I never knew. Su Wan really didn't like to see her pitiful appearance. She turned around and was about to leave, but Di Shirtian just happened to walk to the two people's side. Seeing his beloved little person's face full of grievance, Di Shirtian's face immediately darkened and looked at Su Wan with an ice-cold gaze. Wan Yu. Don't bully people too much. I've already been lenient with you, don't force me to be ruthless. Oh. Su Wan somewhat found it funny and raised her head to look at Di Shirtian. I still haven't done anything to your woman, why are you so anxious to show your loyalty? Ah. Wait until the day I turn her white, then it won't be too late for you to find me for revenge. Also, you're welcome to be ruthless with me, wait. As she spoke, Su Wan didn't even look at Di Shirtian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Without consulting anyone, she bypassed the two people. The four people at the side silently followed. Standing at the very back, Wu Baobao, who had been watching the bustling scene, giggled and came in front of Hui Mao Yi Xiao because she didn't need to fight the instance. She opened her mouth with a serious face and said, Auntie, can you not casually pout your mouth and pretend to be pitiful in the future? Your age is really not suitable for acting cute. Hui Mao Yi Xiao, Di Shirtian, onlookers, could it be that this is the legendary God's second stab? Time passed bit by bit and the teams at the instance's entrance became fewer and fewer. Everyone was racing against time to fight, and at the same time, they also had to pay attention to the news from other regions in the World Channel. District 1 Maple Forest under the heavens, the first kill must be ours. District 1, the world's number 1. District 4 Virtuous like water, District 1 Scram. With our boss Di Shirtian here, where are you? Cool off and stay. District 6 Delicate beauty, oh my, what is Di Shirtian's rank in Huaxia? Ah. If it wasn't for our family's leader Darren not being interested in this instance, you all would be dead meat. District 2 Entering the brothel at night, beauty upstairs, is your family's leader Darren the legendary Huaxia's number 1 night reign? District 1 Maple Forest under the heavens, no matter how awesome Night Rain is, he's still one person. The underground Imperial Palace is a team instance, looking at the team's strength. What's the use of having a powerful mouth? If you have the ability, then take the first kill. Ah. District 6 Delicate beauty, Maple Forest, clean your mouth a bit. Do you want a duel? Come to a neutral map. If this old lady doesn't kill you 100 times, I'll change my surname to yours. District 4 Fire Ice Walker, this instance is so simple. Ah. We're all going to finish fighting. District 6 Delicate beauty, whose family is this, randomly entering here? District 6 Ice Cold Small Hands, District 4 Virtuous like water, fuck, will you die if you don't brag? Ah. Finish my ass. Our guild has already reached 40% of the progress. This is absolutely the fastest speed in the entire Huaxia region. District 1 Maple Forest under the heavens, the wind is so big, aren't you afraid of twisting your tongue? Ah. Whose family's child is this? Ah, to actually talk irresponsibly, because fighting the last big boss in the instance only required Fire Ice Walker and Ice Cold Small Feet, these two people, to attack from a distance. Under boredom, Fire Ice began to look at the World Channel. As a result, he saw a large group of people discussing this underground Imperial Palace instance. Fire Ice Walker didn't know who Night Rain was, but he saw Shirtian Guild's people on the World Channel. He was instinctively unhappy, so he casually sent a sentence. And this sentence of Fire Ice Walker made him the target of everyone's crusade. However, the focus of Fire Ice's attention at this time was clearly not these small feet. That ice-cold small hands is your older brother. Very clearly, Fire Ice Walker only noticed that ice-cold small hands. How many times have I told you, don't call me small feet, call me Liang Ji. Ice-cold small feet couldn't help but roar on the side. You too, be a bit more serious for me. Seeing that the two people were unexpectedly distracted, Ends of the Earth couldn't help but remind them. The two people immediately shut up and concentrated on fighting the boss. In fact, it was the first time for the 5 people to enter the underground Imperial Palace instance. They didn't know anything about the various traps in the labyrinth. But because they had Su Wan, this commander who was familiar with the instance's strategy, they smoothly cleared the small monsters and walked out of the labyrinth to face the last big boss. Because the 5 people's running-in time wasn't short, fighting the boss was also particularly smooth. 10 minutes later, the boss was successfully beaten to the last 5% of HP by them. Su Wan, who had been healing Windless the whole time, suddenly shouted, "In a while, wait until the boss has the last 1% of HP left. Everyone, don't use skills, all change to physical attacks." The boss in this instance was actually not too difficult to fight. The only abnormal place was that when it had the last 1% of HP left, once it received a magic attack, it would go berserk and release a big move, instantly recovering 80% of its HP. Hearing Su Wan's words, everyone had a clear idea in their hearts. They stared fixedly at the boss's HP. When it reached 1%, everyone switched to physical attacks. As a result, the boss's HP began to slowly decrease at the speed of -80, -85, -90 per second. 8 minutes later, the huge King of Dead Kings fell to the ground with a loud bang, turning into a large piece of glittering spoils of war. And at the place where he originally stood, a golden skill book floated quietly, special skill forced resurrection profession restricted to priests. At the same time, in all of Huaxia's 8 major regions' world channels, a line of gilded characters flashed at the same time. World announcement: congratulations to Huaxia District 4's Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild for completing the Underground Palace's first kill. Team members who completed the first kill: Windless, Su Chingwan Yu, Ice Cold Small Feet, Fiery Ice Walker, Ends of the Earth. The glittering golden characters floated in the air, floating in front of all the players, flashing 3 times in a row. Sure enough, important things must be said 3 times. District 4, The Matrix, I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. It's our guild. I'm not dreaming, right? District 4, Dancing Baby, of course you're not dreaming. What does an insignificant first kill count for? Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild is recruiting again. Entering the guild to deliver the first kill, dominating the entire server is not a dream. District 4, Virtuous Like Water, your mother, it must be the way I typed in the world channel today. District 1, Maple Forest World, you're not alone. District 6, Ice Cold Small Hands, congratulations. District 4, Lone Wolf, it has to be said that right now, Lone Wolf's heart was very tangled. Originally, he also knew that his guild probably had no fate with this first kill, but in any case, he still had to fight for it. Although he didn't have a favorable impression of Di Shirtian, for the sake of District 4's honor, Lone Wolf still hoped that Di Shirtian could obtain this first kill. As a result, he guessed the beginning of the story, but he didn't guess the ending. The first kill was District 4's, but it did not belong to Shirtian. It belonged to Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven. Chapter 77. The underground Imperial Palace instance dungeon was taken down, and Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild shocked the world with a single feat. When everyone was inquiring about this Black Horse Guild that suddenly ran out, Suwon's group of 5 had already left the instance. At this moment, the elite teams of many guilds were exiting the dungeon at the same time. Since the first clear was gone, there was no point in continuing to fight in the instance dungeon until the end. Congratulations! Lone Wolf's tall figure appeared in front of Suwon. Suwon looked at Lone Wolf's sharp silhouette and slightly raised her eyebrows. Thank you. Feeling Suwon's indifference, Lone Wolf hesitated for a bit. Your guild is about to reach level 3, right? Do you want to form an alliance with us? I reckon that Tian will definitely not let you off. At that time, No need. Suwon somewhat meaningfully looked at Lone Wolf. Tian Society is our enemy guild, and so is your wolf's teeth. Won Yu, why are you acting on impulse? From Lone Wolf's point of view, Suwon and him should bury the hatchet and work together. This was the best situation for everyone. I'm not acting on impulse. Your wolf's fang isn't worthy of becoming Phoenix Dance's ally. Oh. At this moment, a male voice full of mockery rang out from behind the two of them. You've only taken a first clear. Do you really think your guild is invincible? Tian walked to Suwon's side with a gloomy expression, lowering his head and looking at her coldly. You said that Wolf's Teeth is not worthy of forming an alliance with you guys? I really want to know, in your Su Qing Wonyu's heart, who has this qualification to form an alliance with your Feng Wu? Could it be us, Tian? I'm not interested in you. Ha! Hearing Tian's words, Suwon casually smiled. I'm not interested in a man who isn't the first in the district. The only one who is qualified to form an alliance with us is Yong Yi. District 6 Eternal Night Guild, District 6 No. 1 Guild. At the same time, their guild leader was the famous leveling maniac Night Rain, who had occupied the top position in all of China. In the entire Huaxiao region, only a few people had truly seen the deity of Yi Yu. He was far away from Jianghu, but his legend was everywhere in Jianghu. Once the cross-server channel was activated, not only would the various servers share information, but guilds from different servers could also form alliances across servers. In neutral battlefields that were opened at the same time, the allied guilds could attack and occupy the fortresses on the battlefields together, using them as strongholds for both sides. Yongye, Sakura knew Eternal Night and knew Night Rain even more. According to his understanding, Eternal Night had never formed an alliance with any guild, and Night Rain rarely appeared in front of everyone. His gaming life seemed to be nothing but leveling and leveling. He simply didn't care about anything else in the game. At this time, in Tian's opinion, Suwon wanting to form an alliance with Eternal Night was simply an idiot's ravings. Most of the surrounding onlookers had the same view as Tian. There were even some meddlesome members of Tian Guild who recorded the conversation between Suwon and Tian and immediately posted it on the official website of Lingshan Huaxiao region. How arrogant! The Dark Horse Guild, Phoenix Dances at Ninth Heaven, was attempting to stand shoulder to shoulder with Evernight. At this time, Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven was in the eye of the storm, and Eternal Night had always been low-key and mysterious. Now that this post had linked the two eye-catching guilds together, the post immediately became a hot topic. Those people who were dissatisfied with Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven snatching the first kill seemed to have found an outlet to vent, and all went to the forum to leave messages to vent. At this time, they still didn't know how long it would take before they would be slapped in the face by the cruel reality, and what was waiting for them was not only these. Eternal Night's leader Darren will use practical actions to tell them what it means to vent for a moment, and the whole family will be buried in the crematorium. The underground Imperial Palace's first kill was of great significance to Phoenix Dance's guild. At this time, all the members of the guild were extremely excited because the guild was about to rise to level 3. Suwon just happened to encourage everyone at this time to work hard and actively do guild tasks. As long as the guild is promoted to level 3 before 4:00 this afternoon, I will invite everyone to watch a big show. Leaving this sentence in the guild channel, Soo-won immediately joined the ranks of doing guild tasks. 2 hours later, player Night Rain requests to add you as a friend. Do you accept? A friend invitation suddenly popped up from Soo-won's mailbox. At this time, Soo-won was doing a task in the guild's quarry. Seeing Night Rain's name, she immediately clicked accept. A second later, she received Soo-rue's voice invitation. I can finally talk to you in the game. As soon as the voice connected, Soo-rue's voice impatiently rang in Soo-won's ear. I'm on the neutral map right now. Do you want to come? I'm on the guild map, temporarily can't go over. Our guild is going to be promoted to level 3 today. Soo-won was collecting stones while chatting with Soo-rue. Oh. Hearing Soo-won's words, Soo-rue was slightly disappointed, but then he spoke again. I saw the world announcement, congratulations. When you guys are promoted to level 3, let's form an alliance. I'll give you a big congratulatory gift. What big gift? Soo-won just casually asked. She reckoned that Soo-rue was planning to bring her to level up or help her kill Di-Shirtian on the neutral battlefield. It's a secret for now. Unexpectedly, Soo-rue kept her in suspense and made it mysterious. Tisk, Soo-won sked. At this time, a letter popped up in her private mailbox again. It was sent by Wu Baobao. It turned out that the guild task's completion rate was up to standard and the guild's resources were also enough to promote to level 3. Sure enough, today everyone was like they were injected with chicken blood and were particularly motivated. Our task is completed, immediately promote to level 3. Soo-won couldn't help but tell this good news to Soo-rue at the first moment. Really? Soo-rue's voice also seemed very happy. Then you can come to find me in a while, right? No. Soo-won denied Soo-rue's question. I want to go and kill someone first. Kill someone? Is it Hui Mao Yi Xiao? Although he was asking her, Soo-rue's tone was unspeakably certain. That's right, I'm going to kill someone first. See you offline in a while. Speaking, Soo-won closed the voice. She directly used a scroll to return to the city. After that, Soo-won sent a friend request to Hui Mao Yi Xiao. As expected, Hui Mao Yi Xiao accepted her friend request. Su Ching-wan Yu, I want to talk to you alone. You decide on the location. Hui Mao Yi Xiao, okay. Not long after, Hui Mao Yi Xiao sent Soo-won a coordinate. Looking at the coordinates, Soo-won faintly smiled. Turning her head, she sent the coordinates to the guild channel. Su Ching-wan Yu, everyone gather at this place. Pay attention to concealment, there's a good show to watch. After sending this sentence, Soo-won sent a private chat to Ice Cold Small Feet and told him to immediately teleport over and find the best position to open the recording function from God's perspective, recording everything that will happen later. After doing all this, Soo-won then bought a location teleportation scroll from the merchant shop and entered the coordinates that Hui Mao Yi Xiao sent. When she teleported over, she saw Hui Mao Yi Xiao sitting by the lakeside in a daze. She had been waiting here for a long time. No, it should be said that ever since coming out of the instance and after Di-Shirtian went offline, Hui Mao Yi Xiao had been sitting here in a daze. She had no sense of direction and didn't know the way. The reason why she could find Silvermoon Lakeside was because this was the place that Di-Shirtian often brought her to. And just now, when Soo-won sent her a message to let her set the location, Hui Mao Yi Xiao directly sent her coordinates. Right now, seeing the figure that Soo-won teleported over, Hui Mao Yi Xiao immediately stood up, tightly pursed her lips and looked at Soo-won with a pale complexion. Soo-won unhurriedly walked to a place 5 steps away from Hui Mao Yi Xiao and stood still, meaningfully looking at her. Do you know why I looked for you? I know. As if she had made a very big decision, Hui Mao Yi Zhao's eyes were red and her gaze was brimming with tears as she looked at Su Wan. I know that you want me to leave Tian Gij. You took the instance's first kill, didn't you want to prove to him that you're more suitable for him than me? Su Wan. Chapter 78. By the sparkling silver moon lake, Su Wan and Hui Mao Yi Xiao quietly looked at each other. Ice-cold small feet, who had just teleported over, saw the two people by the lake from afar. Taking advantage that he wasn't discovered, he immediately found a big tree by the lake and hid behind the tree, directly opening the video recording function. Right now, Hui Mao Yi Xiao didn't know that she was being recorded. She saw that Su Wan didn't speak and even looked at her with a face full of ridicule. This made Hui Mao Yi Xiao feel especially uncomfortable in her heart, so she opened her mouth again. I know, in your heart, and even in many people's hearts, you all feel that I'm not worthy of Tian Gij. You all feel that my awareness isn't good, my operation isn't up to standard, and I'm not suitable to play online games, but love can't be forced. Tian Gij said that from the first time he saw me, he liked me. I also like him. I just want to quietly accompany him, give him happiness, let him be happy. Why are you not willing to let us go? Hee hee. Su Wan dryly laughed twice. First, I never thought of destroying you two. Don't say that you two are free to love, even if you get married and have children. What does it have to do with me? Second, you said that you fell in love at first sight. Mutual affection. I remember that at that time, I was still Shirtian's vice president and president's wife, right? It turns out that you two hooked up from the beginning. It really surprised me. As she spoke, Su Wan also made a very exaggerated expression of surprise. No, it's not, we just couldn't help ourselves. Tian Gij said that he never loved you. Hearing Su Wan's words, Hui Mao Yi Xiao immediately anxiously defended herself, her entire face making an expression as if she was about to cry. Oh. Disher Tian said that. What a coincidence, I also never loved him. As she spoke, Su Wan once again took a step forward like a caring elder sister, her tone gentle. I don't know what Disher Tian said to you. We've known each other for 5 years. He said that we can only play in the game and not have true feelings. So even though he and I were once called the model couple, nothing actually happened between me and him, not even holding hands. But looking at your appearance, you two must already be very close, right? As she spoke, Su Wan narrowed her eyes and stared at Hui Mao Yi Zhao's face. Hui Mao Yi Zhao's face reddened and immediately avoided Su Wan's line of sight. No, there's no such thing. Oh. That's great. Sakura used to show off to me how many girls he had slept with. I was really afraid that you would. This is impossible. Hui Mao Yi Xiao suddenly excitedly interrupted Su Wan's words. Tian Gij isn't that kind of person. He said that I was his first. Seeming to realize her own slip of the tongue, Hui Mao Yi Xiao tightly closed her mouth and lowered her head. What a foolish woman. Su Wan smiled. Maybe he's really serious about you. I sincerely wish you all the best. What? Hui Mao Yi Xiao dazedly lifted her eyes and looked at Su Wan incredulously. Didn't you come to force me to break up with him? Why do you think I would force you to break up? I really don't like Disher Tian, furthermore. I already have someone I like, and he's also in this game. When the marriage system opens, we'll get married. Su Wan looked at Hui Mao Yi Xiao with a sincere face. Every word and sentence was especially earnest and sincere. Really? Who is it? Hui Mao Yi Xiao still refused to believe Su Wan. It was as if she wanted to break the pot and ask to the end, until she personally exposed Su Wan's clumsy lie. He's very low-key and doesn't like to announce our identity everywhere. But maybe you'll know after a few days. Mentioning the person she liked, Su-won's gaze also softened. That kind of expression didn't seem like she was lying at all. Hui Mao Yi Xiao was absent-minded for a moment and subconsciously opened her mouth. Then why did you look for me today? Jianghu's grievances are Jianghu's. Su-won smiled and lifted her priest staff. At that time, because of you, I was issued a wanted order by Di Shi Tian and was chased by a group of people 5 times. The one who tied the bell should untie the bell. Since the matter started because of you, it will end with you. As she spoke, Su-won already started chanting the priest level 60 skill, Heaven's Punishment. Along with the white lightning striking down, Hui Mao Yi Xiao's health kept decreasing. She had never PK with others before. In a panic, Hui Mao Yi Xiao actually forgot that she could heal herself. She turned around and wanted to escape. And Su-won immediately released deceleration and weakening. Afterwards, she released Holy Light Technique and Light Bullet Technique at Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Priests originally had low defense and little health. In an instant, Hui Mao Yi Xiao's health bar hit rock bottom. At this time, she only thought of healing herself. Unfortunately, everything was too late. Su-won followed up by releasing several light bullet techniques in a row, directly hitting Hui Mao Yi Xiao's health to nothing, going to die. Hui Mao Yi Xiao only felt her vision go black. When she opened her eyes again, what she saw wasn't the resurrection point in the city, but rather a smiling Su-won. This is. Su-won smiled and once again used Holy Light Technique and Light Bullet Technique on Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Hui Mao Yi Xiao once again laid on the ground. Then, she was once again revived by Su-won using Forced Resurrection and recovered 20% of her health. Only, this health seemed especially insignificant under Su-won's continuous attacks. Just like this, Su-won used Forced Resurrection on Hui Mao Yi Xiao again and again, and killed her again and again. At this time, there were already a lot of people at Silvermoon Lake. A lot of people were from Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven Guild. As for the others, some were purely passing by and some were people from other guilds. Su-won simply didn't care about the onlookers. Her expression was indifferent the whole time and she continuously released skills. In less than 10 minutes, Hui Mao Yi Xiao turned white and directly killed her to level 10. Her speed really made people speechless. The equipment that fell on the ground, Su-won also didn't go to pick it up. The level 10 Hui Mao Yi Xiao was already at the novice protection level. Right now, she looked at Su-won with a face full of resentment. Su Qingwan Yu, what kind of skill is it to kill me? If you have the ability, go kill Di Shi Tian. Wait until I'm level 70, I'll go kill him. Speaking till here, Su-won calmly put away her priest staff. I don't have any skill. To kill you, a level 70 priest, I actually used more than 8 minutes. Truly a disgrace for priests. You. Hui Mao Yi Xiao could hear that Su-won was ridiculing her no matter how stupid she was. My level is higher than yours, but I never kill people. Wrong, right now your level is much lower than mine, and... Su-won narrowed her eyes, her gaze sharp as she looked at Hui Mao Yi Xiao. You never kill people, isn't it because you can't kill anyone? If your skills really pass, I believe that the people you've killed will not be less than me. No, impossible. I'm not the same as you. Su Qingwan Yu, you homicidal maniac. As if she was confused by Su-won's anger, Hui Mao Yi Xiao didn't care that much and directly rushed at Su-won to curse. Homicidal maniac. Hui Mao Yi Xiao, why do you always want to push yourself to the moral high ground? Speaking till here, Su-won turned around and looked at those onlookers who were crowding at the side but didn't dare to come forward. Everyone plays games to be happy. If you don't PK, what passion is there? Everyone is an adult and not mentally unsound primary school students. Who hasn't killed people in guild battles? Don't tell me that everyone present is also a homicidal maniac. Hearing Su Wan's words, everyone around looked at each other in dismay. Indeed, who hasn't killed people in games? Who hasn't been killed before? What's the big deal about this? In online games, this is the most common thing, okay? At that time, I was just angry that I was abandoned by everyone in Shirtian. So what if I killed you twice? Hui Mao Yi Xiao, you wanted to kill your way back yourself. I, Su Qingwanyu, have nothing to say, but you relied on pillow talk to make Di Shirtian and Lone Wolf chase after me and even issued a kill order. You're really amazing, aw. Playing the two big guild leaders of District 4 in circles. You're slandering people. Right now, Hui Mao Yi Xiao's expression became even more unsightly. Indeed, she and Lone Wolf had a very good relationship for a period of time. Because she was afraid that Yi Tian would misunderstand, she kept it from Yi Tian. And at that time, when Lone Wolf issued a kill order, everyone in the district thought that it was because he hated Su Qingwanyu because of love. No one knew the inside story. Slandering people. Seeing Hui Mao Yi Xiao put on an innocent and pitiful appearance, Su Wan faintly smiled. Do you want me to find Lone Wolf to confront him now? At that time, when I killed you for the second time, he was by your side. Because it happened suddenly at that time, he didn't have time to stop me, that's all. Speaking till here, Su Wan paused a bit because Wu Feng already sent her a message telling her that Shirtian's people were about to arrive. Moreover, someone already informed Di Shirtian who was offline. Perhaps, in another 2 minutes, Di Shirtian will be online. Hui Mao Yi Xiao, saying more is useless. Today, I'm only taking revenge for myself. If you're not convinced, you can go find your man and tell him to come and kill me again. I, Su Qingwanyu, will be waiting. Chapter 79. Su Qingwanyu Luanbai glanced back and smiled. Killing out of love or killing out of hatred? How could a level 60 priest kill a level 70 priest within 8 minutes? Su Qingwanyu, the return of the homicidal maniac. This time, Su Wan really became famous in one battle. Posts discussing her could be seen everywhere in the game's Huaxia region's forum. Every post had a video of Su Wan killing Hui Mao Yi Xiao. Of course, these videos were posted by those onlookers and were not complete videos. This caused everyone to only see the process of Su Wan killing Hui Mao Yi Xiao again and again, but there was no other content. Very clearly, the person who posted this video wanted to guide the direction of public opinion. Everyone unanimously thought that Su Wan really bullied people too much. When this matter happened and was pushed to the peak of public opinion by everyone, Su Wan was having a meeting with Windless and the others in the guild encampment in the city. Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven had already been successfully promoted to a level 3 guild. The upper limit of guild members had also risen to 500 people. Originally, within an hour, it was filled with 500 people, but now, there were only 200 or so members left in the guild. Is it more or less cleaned up? Ends of the Earth glanced at Windless and asked in a low voice. In the afternoon, Su Wan once said in the guild channel that she wanted to invite everyone to watch a show. Soon after, she sent the coordinates that Hui Mao Yi Xiao sent to her to the guild. This move was clearly really inviting everyone to watch a show, but secretly wanted to find out the spies sent by other guilds that were lurking in Phoenix Dance's guild. Regarding this kind of thing, it was not the first time that Su Wan dealt with it. And she had already privately told Windless and the others about it, so this time's cleaning operation was still considered smooth. And, although the remaining people can't be 100% trusted, it's estimated that there aren't many spies left. Windless' tone had always been especially calm. Listening to his words, Su-won nodded her head. Our Phoenix dances currently doesn't need too many people. People are valued for their loyalty and not their numbers. Right now, these 200 people are the foundation of our guild's future development. In the future, when the guild grows stronger, they will all be veterans. In a while, Windless, send a guild notice and tell them that in the future, as long as they are loyal and devoted to Phoenix dances, they will all be included in our Phoenix Dances elite battle team. Regardless of their level and profession, they also don't look at their operation and awareness. Right now, Phoenix Dances still didn't have her own elite battle team and veteran members. This kind of promise placed in a big guild would definitely be a huge gift, and placed in a small guild like Phoenix Dances in the 9th heaven, it didn't seem to be a big promise. But Su-won believed that as long as tomorrow comes and they personally witnessed how reliable and powerful their ally was, these 200 people would definitely be dead set on staying. Even if there were other people's spies among them, Su-won reckoned that they would probably immediately rebel. In the game world, strength was the symbol of everything. Su-won knew that these few people were still lacking in maturity and time. Now, she could only borrow power from Su-rui. Hearing Su-won's words, Ends of the Earth nodded. He still believed in Su-won's methods. After all, she had been the vice leader in Shirtian for 5 years. And Windless on the side didn't speak. His expression was somewhat strange. What's wrong? Su-won also noticed Windless' abnormality. Nothing. Windless, who returned to his senses, lightly shook his head. And at this time, Su-won noticed that there was a page in the guild panel that kept flashing. She clicked on that page and a line of blood-red words flashed out. Shirtian Guild has already listed this guild as a hostile guild. Do you also list it as a hostile guild of this guild? Windless chose yes. After he chose, all the members in the guild saw this message. For a moment, the guild channel was in a mess, but Windless was still expressionless. He directly used his authority as the leader to list Wolf's Teeth Guild as a hostile guild. With the second guild message popping out, some timid or quick-witted members immediately chose to take the initiative to leave the guild. 10 minutes later, Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heavens Guild members were only left with the last 180 people. You can send a guild notice now. Su-won didn't expect that Di Shirtian would choose this time to be hostile to their guild. This time was chosen to help them filter out a few dozen grains of sand. Windless immediately sent the message according to what Su-won just said. Then he glanced at Su-won and said in a low voice, "Just now, Di Shirtian privately messaged me. He wants me to kick you out of the guild. Otherwise, he will hunt down our Phoenix Dances people all over the map in the future." Regarding such a request, Windless naturally refused. But with a responsible attitude towards the guild, he still said this matter. Relying on his high level and good equipment, he would hunt down others all over the map at the drop of a hat. Di Shirtian only has this bit of ability. This kind of person, you have to find someone stronger than him and more unreasonable than him to properly teach him a lesson. As she spoke, Su-won smiled somewhat maliciously. Windless, you privately messaged Di Shirtian. Tell him that Ming Jiodian will gather people and horses to the neutral map. I'll wait for him there. Won Yu, don't act recklessly. You're not Di Shirtian's opponent right now. Hearing Su-won's words, Windless wrinkled his brows. Di Shirtian was not Hui Mao Yi Shao. Not only was his high level and good equipment, more importantly, his PK experience was very rich. His positioning and awareness were all superb. This kind of person, Su-won, who was currently level 60, could not beat him at all. I can't beat him, but there's someone who can definitely beat him to death. Su-won's tone was particularly certain. Windless on the side had an inexplicable face. Who is it? He subconsciously asked, while Ends of the Earth looked at Su-won with a strange expression. Could it be the legendary that regarding the mysterious relationship between Eternal Knight's guild leader and Su Chengwanyu? Ends of the Earth once heard ice-cold small feet talk about it in the dormitory. So right now, Ends of the Earth immediately thought of Night Rain. It's Night Rain. Sure enough, Su Wan's answer proved his guess. Windless, you first tell Di Shirtian according to what I said, then you make an announcement on the World Channel and tell everyone that tomorrow, our Phoenix dances and Shirtian will settle their grudges on the neutral map. Everyone is welcome to watch. Seeing Su Wan's confident appearance, Windless nodded seriously. He didn't know how strong Night Rain was, but since Su Chengwanyu was Phoenix Dance's people, then regardless of whether Night Rain could defeat Di Shirtian or not, their Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heavens people would absolutely stand behind Su Chengwanyu and not retreat a single step. Seeing that Windless started to send messages, Su Wan immediately sent a private message to Su Rui. Then she turned her head and looked at Ends of the Earth. I'm going offline. Today, everyone should go offline earlier and have a good rest. Ends of the Earth, after you go offline, tell Small Feet to wait until 11:00 in the middle of the night, when the forum's popularity is at its peak, to post the complete video he recorded today online. Understood. Ends of the Earth nodded and conveniently lit a row of candles for Hui Mao Yi Xiao in his heart. Right now, in the entire World Channel, everyone saw Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heavens Guild leader repeatedly broadcast the declaration of war announcement 3 times using the world loudspeaker. For a moment, a lot of people jumped out and expressed that they must be the first to watch, while Shirtian's people incessantly ridiculed Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven for being arrogant and conceited, not knowing what to do. Tomorrow, just wait to be blown up. When the World Channel was abnormally lively, Eternal Night Guild's Guild Channel was also very lively. Delicate Beauty, Small Hands, tomorrow, let's also form a team to go watch, okay? Ice Cold Little Hands. Melancholy Sheep, I want to go see Su Chengwanyu. Ice Cold Little Hands. Younger Sister Sheep, you're definitely doing this on purpose. Don't you know that the 4 words Su Chengwanyu will summon a big boss? Sure enough, the next second, Night Rain, tomorrow morning at 8:30, gather at the neutral map. Those who don't go online will all be kicked. Delicate Beauty, Leader Darren. Do you want to form a team to go watch? Ice Cold Little Hands. Guild information, this guild's guild leader, Night Rain, went offline. Alright, just knew that he would go offline. Ice Cold Little Hands also went offline. Compared to other people's guesses and doubts, Ice Cold Little Hands clearly knew what their leader Darren will do tomorrow. At 11:12 in the evening that day, most people had already gone offline from the game. At this time, Lingshan Game Forum ushered in the largest traffic peak of the day. It was at this time that a video post suddenly appeared out of nowhere. I am the Emperor of Truth. True restoration of Su Chengwanyu and Hui Mao Yi Zhao's grievances from beginning to end. This post was not accompanied by any text description, only a very large video file. When you open the video, the first thing that appeared in everyone's line of sight was Silvermoon Lake. Su Chengwanyu and Hui Mao Yi Zhao, the 2 people quietly stood there and looked at each other. At this time, there was a voiceover. It was a crisp and deliberately lowered male voice. Oh hey, isn't this Su Chengwanyu and Hui Mao Yi Zhao? What are these legendary rivals in love doing? Everyone, please follow me and look. This voiceover was clearly added by the person who recorded the video. Soon after, the perspective of the video was zoomed in, and Hui Mao Yi Zhao and Su Chengwanyu's following dialogue and expressions were clearly recorded. So the matter was like this. Just like the person who took things out of context, Ice Cold Small Feet also very cleverly added his own voiceover with strong emotions at the appropriate time. For example, after Hui Mao Yi Zhao inadvertently exposed her and Di Shirtian's intimate relationship, Ice Cold Small Feet's voiceover appropriately sounded, oh hey, this is the difference between a real goddess and a green tea bitch. Ah. Other people have known each other for 5 years and haven't even held hands. She had known other people for less than 50 days and rolled the sheets. Subsequently, after Su Wan continuously insta-killed Hui Mao Yi Xiao, when Hui Mao Yi Xiao angrily accused, Ice Cold Small Feet also added a voiceover: "If you're afraid of death, why are you still playing online games? If you're killed, then take revenge for yourself. You look at other people Su Qingwan you." The entire video lasted for more than 10 minutes. Until the end, when Su Wan exposed Hui Mao Yi Xiao's relationship with Lone Wolf, as well as after she returned to the city and disappeared, Hui Mao Yi Xiao's incomparably resentful gaze, were all very realistically recorded by Ice Cold Small Feet. At the end of the video was a black screen. On the black screen, a row of blood-red large characters was typed: "Right and wrong, gratitude and grudges, justice naturally exists in people's hearts." If you want to know what happened afterwards, please pay attention to the neutral map at 9:00 tomorrow. Phoenix dances in the ninth heaven vs. Shirt in the battle of the century, on the verge of breaking out. Once this post was published, it immediately caused a huge uproar in the game forum. There had always been a lot of female players in Lingshan, and women had always been very emotional. In the afternoon, after the video of Su Qingwanyu bullying Hui Mao Yi Xiao burst out, those female players were very angry and kept madly spraying Su Qingwanyu in the post. And now that the truth was exposed, those female players who had sprayed Su Qingwanyu felt that they were deceived for the first time. Being used as a gun by someone with ulterior motives. So they were angry. Under this kind of public anger, the real identity of those few people who posted the video in the afternoon was very quickly dug out. Those people were actually people from Shirtian Guild. This really was Sima Zhao's heart. As a result, the direction of public opinion suddenly changed greatly. Not only Hui Mao Yi Xiao, even the entire Shirtian Guild and Di Shirtian became everyone's target of crusade. Yi Tian very rarely went on the game forum. Too many things happened in the whole day today. This made Yi Tian's mood very irritable. After he and Windless set the coordinates to meet on the neutral map tomorrow, he went offline early to rest. When he received Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon's call, Yi Tian had just fallen asleep. "What's the matter?" Yi Tian's voice on the phone still carried a bit of sleepiness. Hearing his voice, Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon hesitated. "Tian Ji, if you have time, go take a look at the game forum. There are some matters regarding Hui Mao Yi Xiao." Hui Mao Yi Xiao. As soon as he heard this name, Yi Tian immediately became spirited. He hurriedly hung up the phone and then got down from the bed. He went to the study to open his private computer and logged into his account in Lingshan Forum. He didn't have to deliberately look for it. At a glance, he saw the post that was pinned to the top by the administrator: "I am the Emperor of Truth. True restoration of Su Qingwanyu and Hui Mao Yi Zhao's grievances from beginning to end." Chapter 80. When Yi Tian was looking at the post, Su Wan and Su Rui were also nestled on the sofa, admiring Ice Cold Small Feet's masterpiece. This brat is also a talent. Su Rui heard the narration that Ice Cold Small Feet added and felt that it was very interesting. Seeing that there were so many people replying to him under the post, Su Rui's gaze flashed and a thought suddenly flashed through his mind: "Can I also do this tomorrow?" Well, our family's General Su seems to have unknowingly learned some strange new skills again. Right now, Su Wan's expression was also very relaxed. Looking at the large number of replies to crusade against Hui Mao Yi Xiao below the post, Su Wan thought that if Hui Mao Yi Xiao saw this post, she reckoned that she would cry for the whole night. "Su Wan, do you think that if Yi Tian sees this post, will he still stick up for Hui Mao Yi Xiao?" Right now, the video happened to be playing the part where Hui Mao Yi Xiao vigorously denied her relationship with Lone Wolf, and Ice Cold Small Feet's narration also only had one sentence: explanation is concealment, concealment is a story. He will. Soo-won smiled. What is called female lead halo? That is, no matter what the female lead does, it is right. Even if the female lead does something wrong, the wrong is not her but the entire world. And if the female lead has an unclear relationship with other men, then it must be that man who covets our female lead, Darren's beauty. This is absolutely not female lead, Darren not picking up a bit. If you want to blame someone, blame her for being too beautiful. Turning off the video, Soo-won deeply looked at Soo-rui. Sleep early. Tomorrow morning on the neutral map, see you there. See you there. Soo-rui nodded at Soo-won. He waited for this day for a long time. The next day, Lingshan World, 8:40 in the morning. When Soo-won went online, the people in the guild basically all came. Seeing that there were 300 members in the guild, Soo-won slightly froze for a moment. She asked Dance Baby who was in charge of recruiting new members, and only then did she know that the newly added members were all female players. They used this method to support Su Ching Wanyu, Little Pudding, Wanyu Jijia. I scolded you on the forum yesterday, I'm guilty. I repent. Today, I want to defeat the great demon King Di Shirtian with you. July 7th. At worst, it's just death. Jijia is rich, you're not afraid of death. On the 7th of July, at worst, I'll just die. I'm rich, so you're not afraid of death. Dancing Baby, Sisters V5. When the members of the guild saw Su Ching Wanyu online, they began to flood the screen. Seeing their messages, Soo-won was a bit surprised because there was no lack of very famous players she knew. For example, the popular woman. After she opened the regional competition ranking, she had always been a relatively powerful existence among female players. And the 7th of July was the most famous female local tyrant in the entire Huaxia region. Su Ching Wanyu, thank you everyone. If everyone is here, we'll set off first. I'll bring everyone to the neutral map to meet our allies first. Join Phoenix Dances, you guys won't regret it. After typing in the guild, Soo-won communicated with Windless and gathered all the online members in the main city's guild hall. Then, Windless spent a lot of money in the game shop to buy the guild's collective teleportation array. According to the coordinates provided by Soo-won, Windless immediately activated the teleportation. The large-scale teleportation across regions was relatively slow. Everyone only felt that there was a vast expanse of whiteness in front of them. After about 5 seconds, the white light dissipated and 300 people uniformly appeared on the neutral map. What caught their eyes was not the yellow sand-like battlefield as advertised on the official website, nor was it those giant monsters with big blood-red words above their heads wandering around and biting people on sight. Right now, what appeared in front of the Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild members was a row of frozen monsters. Around those monsters stood 2 square teams of 500 people, and above those monsters, a slender figure stood in the air. He was wearing an ice-like mage robe. The silver-white robe danced in the air with the wind, quietly emitting a light blue radiance, Holy Sky Mage Robe. Lingshan World's only level 80 mage set so far. Level 80. In the entire Huaxia, and even in the entire Lingshan World, only one person can wear this mage robe. First in the whole region. Mage Night Rain. Everyone raised their heads in unison. In the shadows of light and darkness, everyone could only see the man's exquisite silhouette, as well as the golden title of first in the region above his head that people couldn't help but want to worship. When Soo-won came out of the teleportation array and saw this big scene in front of her, she also stared blankly. She couldn't help but raise her head to look at Soo-rui in midair. Such a flashy scene, it wouldn't be the surprise, he said, right? Right at this time, Soo-rui also saw Soo-won. He immediately slowly descended from midair. Phoenix Dance's people then saw that the legendary Huaxia region's first person was actually a broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted, long-legged, peerless and handsome man with a handsome face. Is there still justice in this world? As if to test the psychological quality of Phoenix Dance's people, the moment Su Rui stood in front of Su Wan, the surrounding members of the Eternal Night Guild, who were originally standing quietly and posing, all shouted in unison, "Hello, Madam President." Su Wan. Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven. At this time, Su Rui and Windless had already completed the Guild Alliance operation. Su Rui smiled and sent a team invitation to Su Wan. Su Wan immediately clicked accept. This is your surprise. This is just the beginning. Su Rui suddenly took a step forward. Because the two people were now in a team relationship, his one hand around Su Wan's waist was not judged as malicious harassment by the system. The two people's figures slowly rose into the air again. Looking down from midair, she saw the frozen monsters on the ground and Su Wan's face slightly changed. Those monsters were specially driven to a specific location. At this time, looking down from midair, all the monsters just happened to form 5 big frozen words, Xiao Wan, I love you. It was especially troublesome to do this in the game. In order to practice this, Su Rui had to study alone in a level 80 map for a week. How to move, how to freeze each part of the map. These all required exquisite skills and time control. Now is the time for your man to show you his strength. Su Rui slightly lowered his eyes and began to silently recite an incantation, Mage level 75 skill Ice Storm. Mage level 80 skill Absolute Zero. 2 ice spells were released in succession and the monsters on the ground that were sealed by the icebound spell immediately disintegrated like broken ice cubes. Then, everyone saw Su Wan who was in Su Rui's embrace in midair and her body emitted a white light, level 61. Level 62. Level 63. Level 64. Level 65. It was actually a continuous increase of 5 levels. Do you like this gift? Su Rui slightly drooped his eyes and looked at Su Wan with a gentle gaze. Su Wan's expression was very complicated and her tone was never hesitant. How did you do it? Su Wan knew that the monsters in the neutral map gave high experience, but it wasn't to such an outrageous degree, right? Continuous increase of 5 levels. How many monsters did this require? Su Wan couldn't calculate it at all. Secret. Su Rui blinked at Su Wan and then fell down from midair with her in his arms. Right now, the girls in the Phoenix Dances Guild were already going crazy. What Di Shi Tian, what lone wolf, go to hell. Do you know Eternal Night? Do you know Night Rain? That's our family's Su Ching Wan Yu's man. He has looks, and he has strength. As long as a person's eyes aren't blind, they will choose him. Seeing Su Rui and Su Wan return to the ground, more than 100 girls in the Phoenix Dances Guild shouted in unison, "Hello brother-in-law." Su Rui, with a smile on his face, "Hello everyone. Everyone in the Eternal Night Guild. Leader Darren, we're here. Leader Darren, where's your aloofness? Where's your ice cube face? You're smiling so gently at Phoenix Dances people, what are you trying to do? Grow up, big people. We're also your relatives. Chapter 81. When Di Shi Tian brought Hui Mao Yi Xiao and a group of younger brothers to the neutral map, the scene they saw was like this. Eternal Night's men were cheerfully bringing Phoenix Dances girls to farm monsters. Yes, it's this position. Good, use this skill. And the Eternal Night's girls. What are they doing? All the girls. Windless President, your blade is so handsome. Windless. All the girls. Windless President, do you have female friends? Windless. Phoenix Dances leftover men, are we being despised by our allies? Despised, right? He must have been despised by her. Say it 3 times, just when everyone was feeling sorry for themselves. Hua Bingxing, who had always liked to join in on the fun, saw Shirtian Guild's majestic team at a glance. And he estimated that there were at least 500 people. 500 people. Count as nonsense. With the existence of 1,000 allies, Hua Bingxing immediately felt that his back was twice as straight. Even his voice was much louder than usual. Comrades, pay attention. Shirtian Dog is here. Following Hua Bingxing's voice, the scattered Phoenix Dance and Eternal Night members immediately returned to their formation and unknowingly stood behind Su Rui and Su Wan. At a glance, Di Shirtian saw the 2 people who were the moon surrounded by the stars. To tell the truth, he was a bit shocked. He didn't think that Su Qingwanyu could really hook up with Night Rain. Night Rain President, I've heard a lot about you. Di Shirtian stepped forward and greeted Su Rui with a calm expression. But what kind of person is our family's General Su? How could he possibly pay attention to him? Di Shirtian, the dignified District 4's number 1 was completely ignored like this. Hui Mao Yi Xiao, who had been standing by Di Shirtian's side, still had red eyes. She first glared at Su Wan and then looked at Su Rui with slight curiosity. Turns out that this was Huaxia District's number 1, Night Rain. How could he be together with Su Qingwanyu? He must have been deceived by Su Qingwanyu. Seeing that Su Rui didn't want to pay attention to Di Shirtian, Hui Mao Yi Xiao, who always felt that she was the most approachable, suddenly stepped forward and said in a tactful tone, Night Rain President, we came here today to settle our personal grudges with Su Qingwanyu. This was agreed upon yesterday. You must not be deceived by her, she. Ha! A sneer cut Hui Mao Yi Xiao's voice short. Su Rui took a step forward, lowered his eyes and dangerously looked at this self-righteous woman in front of him. Personal grudges? Didn't our family's Xiao Wan kill you dozens of times? You can go home and find a man, but our family's Xiao Wan can't find me. As he spoke, Su Rui raised his eyebrows and the corners of his lips pulled into a careless smile. What, you only found a man, Di Shirtian? Lone Wolf didn't come. I wanted to take care of 2 of them at once. There's no challenge in fighting just one of them. Night Rain. Hearing Su Rui's words and seeing his aggressive gaze, Di Shirtian took a step forward and subconsciously blocked Hui Mao Yi Xiao behind him. Men's matters should be solved by men, don't involve women. So Di Shirtian, you still remember that you're a man. When you chased after my family's Xiao Wan, why weren't you a man? Su Rui's gaze was ice-cold, and the words he spoke at this time also had no warmth. If they had been in the same district, he would have disbanded the Shirtian Duke Association long ago. Fortunately, it wasn't too late now. Night Rain, it's useless to say more. Since you're willing to stand up for Su Qingwanyu, then let's duel. While speaking, Di Shirtian had already raised his hand and waved the people around him to retreat. A large space immediately appeared beside him. Although his level wasn't as high as Night Rain, Di Shirtian was very confident in his skills. Moreover, swordsmen were the most advantageous profession in PK in Lingshan. Not only did they have high defense and thick health, their attack was off the charts, but swordsmen also had a skill that gave other professions an incomparable headache: sealing sword. Once it is released and hits the target, it will seal the target for 5 seconds. Within 5 seconds, the target will not be able to use any of their profession skills. Seeing Di Shirtian's serious and solemn appearance, Su Rui just lightly took a step forward. Right now, it was just past 9 o'clock. A large number of players constantly poured into the entire neutral map. A small portion came to train and see the scene, but the majority of the people came to watch the excitement. They originally thought that they could see another showdown between Di Shirtian and Su Qingwan's old lover. Who knew that the one Di Shirtian faced would actually be Yongye's Night Rain? What kind of situation is this? At this time, those spectators who had the foresight to squat early in the morning immediately proudly explained to the people who arrived later. This matter is actually like this blah blah blah, like that blah blah blah, got it? Everyone, what the heck? So it's like this ah. Right now, Di Shirtian had already begun to release his skill, Sword Entanglement. The most commonly used primary skill of swordsmen. When fighting monsters, you can pull monsters. When PK, you can instantly pull the opponent to your eyes, making the long-range professions lose their advantage. Leader, be careful ah. The onlookers of Yongye had never seen Su Rui PK with others. At this time, seeing that Di Shirtian had already made a move first, and Su Rui was still standing motionless in the same place without any action of wanting to chant his skill, everyone couldn't help but worry. Although our family's leader Darren's level is low, he doesn't know how to PK at all. In fact, does Su Rui really not know how to PK? At this time, Su Rui only felt a suction coming from his face, pulling his body and instantly arriving in front of Di Shirtian. Di Shirtian's eyes flashed with a hint of joy. He immediately activated the sealing sword, and then, there was no then, until Di Shirtian's health reached the bottom and he loudly fell to the ground. Everyone inexplicably maintained a sluggish state with their mouths wide open. Who can tell Laozi what just happened? It's void. Only Su Wan clearly saw that the moment Su Rui arrived in front of Di Shirtian, Su Rui used a level 65 mage's skill, Void, to strike the target with a 4% chance of instant death. If an ordinary mage used this skill, it could only be used as a close-range critical hit because the 4% chance of instant death was actually a very deceptive setting in the game. It was basically useless. But this skill immediately became unrecognizable in front of Su Rui, this martial arts expert. When he just entered the game, Su Rui mastered this skill. He experimented with those tens of thousands of small monsters. In the end, he discovered that as long as the distance between him and the opponent was close enough, and he controlled the strength of the attack and the most precise position of the attack, he could 100% kill in one hit. Of course, the most demanding condition was that the position of the attack must be the opponent's weakest point. It was this kind of ordinary skill that was used by Su Rui to perfection. Almost in a single move, he completely killed Di Shirtian. And after Di Shirtian fell, Su Wan immediately used a forced resurrection on him. After resurrecting, Di Shirtian was still somewhat baffled. Until he felt that Su Qingwanyu had been healing him, he had no choice but to accept the fact that he had already died once. And Hui Mao Yi Xiao on the side had clearly been frightened by that unforeseen event just now. She subconsciously retreated a few steps, somewhat fearfully looking at Su Rui, completely forgetting that as a priest, she had to add blood to her man. When she thought of it, Su Wan had already helped Di Shirtian recover his health. She lightly put down her priest staff and immediately looked at Su Rui with dissatisfaction. Next time you kill him, can you delay for a few seconds and let me have time to chant a skill? Onlookers. Su Rui, okay. After answering Su Wan's words, Su Rui turned his head and looked at Di Shirtian next to him. Come on, this time it will definitely exceed 5 seconds. Di Shirtian had played online games for several years. These years, he had always been aloof and unrivaled. The days where he stood in the clouds were too long. At this moment, he suddenly fell from the clouds into the mud. His mood immediately fluctuated greatly. At this time, he heard Su Rui's slightly mocking words. Di Shirtian's expression turned sinister and he suddenly released the sealed sword that had long been on cooldown at Su Rui. He hit the target. It was sealed. Looking at the blood-red seal word revolving around Su Rui's body, Di Shirtian's eyes were ruthless as he released 3 swordsman's high critical strike skills in succession. Go to hell. Go to hell. Go to hell. Blood Rain Sword, the skill's effect lived up to its name. Blood rained down from the sky, the red was soul-stirring. And in that blood red, Su Rui's figure floated like an immortal. The holy sky robe with a light blue light effect was not stained with a trace of blood. 5 seconds passed in a flash and Di Shirtian, who had released several skills in one breath, did not see Su Rui, who had low defense and low health, fall to the ground as he wished. When the blood rain dispersed, Su Rui was still standing there unscathed. Onlooker A, heavens! Night Rain dodged all the attacks. This was simply a godly movement. I want to turn on the recording. Buddy, did you turn on the recording? Onlooker B, this is the legendary god of PK. Your mother, it blinded Lousy's aluminum alloy dog eyes. Onlooker C, fuck, Night Rain didn't lose a single drop of blood. This is not scientific awe. Su Wan, do you know Qigong? Have you seen Lingbo microsteps? If I told you that Su Rui's Qigong is 100 times more powerful than the male protagonists in the martial arts novels that you know, I don't know how you would feel. At this moment, Su Wan suddenly thought of a very popular saying on the internet, mortals are fish lips. Chapter 82. This is impossible. His ears were full of other people's praises for Night Rain. Di Shirtian blankly looked at the intact Su Rui. He did not believe that a person could escape the skill attack range set by the game just by moving. This was absolutely impossible. This was not true. At this time, Di Shirtian's vision was in a trance. His mind was unstable and he even forgot to continue attacking Su Rui. At this moment, Su Rui suddenly raised his staff and released the mage level 75 skill, Seal of Time. This was a group sealing skill that could freeze the target character within the effective range for 10 seconds. Di Shirtian naturally could not escape, and in the next 10 seconds, Blizzard Spell and Ice Curse came down one after another. Di Shirtian's health once again bottomed out. This time, Su Wan had already grasped the best opportunity. Almost at the moment when Di Shirtian fell, the Forced Resurrection skill was immediately cast on his body, and then the healing skill. It was the same as last time. Continue. Su Rui still looked at Di Shirtian with a cold face. I don't want to waste too much time on trash. Trash that after living for more than 20 years, this was the first time Yi Tian was called trash. At this time, he clenched the long sword in his hand and suddenly rushed towards Su Rui. Yi, you're going too far. Well, it seems that he completely shed all pretense of cordiality and even used the name in reality. Although Yi family was not in Haiqing, it was also a prestigious family. He more or less understood the matters of Haiqing Situ family. Yi Tian knew that Yi was weak and sickly since childhood. He did not believe that he, a dignified fighting champion, could not beat down a medicine jar in the game. Skills were not good to use, so he simply fought in close combat, physical attacks. With Situ Ye's weak mage health, he could grind him to death. It had to be said that although he was in a rage, Yi Tian's IQ had strangely risen. It was a pity that he did not know that this Yi was no longer that Yi. Seeing the heavy sword's swift and fierce attack in front of him, Su Rui smiled disdainfully and simply threw his magic staff into the air. Then, Su Rui slid forward and appeared in front of Yi Tian. Swords are not used like this. While speaking, a novice wooden sword had already appeared in Su Rui's hand. This was the small wooden sword that the system gifted to each character in Lingshan when they were born in the novice village. It was not restricted by the profession and anyone could use it. The short and crudely made beginner's sword and Yi Tian's gleaming silver heavy sword formed a sharp contrast. The two swords intertwined in midair. Su Rui drew a sword flower and directly pierced Yi Tian's vital point. Yi Tian's heavy sword also pierced Su Rui's body at this time. Time seemed to have slowed down countless times at this moment. Su Rui's wooden sword itself was short and small. Based on the two people's current position, Yi Tian's sword should have injured Su Rui first. Unfortunately, the reality was the opposite. Su Rui's body made the most perfect reaction in an instant. He dove horizontally and Yi Tian's attack missed. At this time, Su Rui's wooden sword directly pierced into Yi Tian's armor. 1888. A high damage value floated out from the top of Yi Tian's head, once again blinding everyone's aluminum alloy eyes. Passerby A. Your mother. Using the novice wooden sword's attributes of 10 to 20, you can make D. Shi Tian, who has a full body of plus 10, lose 1888 HP. System, are you playing with me? Passerby B. What do you know? This is the legendary critical strike. As long as your operation and awareness are unparalleled, even if you are barehanded, you can still deal over 1,000 damage. Otherwise, how could Lingshan be said to have the highest degree of realism in the world? But this is also the first time I saw someone do this with my own eyes. Night Rain is really too motherfucking awesome. Laozi is convinced. Passerby C. Great God Night Rain. Through the autumns and 10,000 generations, longevity will be the same as the heavens. Passerby D. Just as everyone was exclaiming in admiration, Su Rui once again flashed. His ghostly figure circled behind Yi Tian and the wooden sword in his hand gave a backstab. 2000. Damn. At this time, the assassins in the crowd were boiling because the move that Su Rui just used with the novice wooden sword was impressively the assassin's assassination skill, surprise attack backstab. Whether it was his speed or movements, or even the angle and strength of his hand, it could all be called a textbook-level existence. Not waiting for the assassins to finish exclaiming in admiration, Su Rui neatly gave Yi Tian a set of chain swords. 2000, 2000, 2000. Then Di Shi Tian was once again gloriously game over. Everything happened too fast. Until Yi Tian was forcefully resurrected by Su Wan, Su Rui had already put away the novice wooden sword and just happened to receive the magic staff that fell from midair. At this time, Yi Tian's complexion was ashen, looking like he had lost confidence in life. The surroundings suddenly became very quiet. At this time, no matter what kind of mood everyone had at the beginning, everyone coincidentally kept silent at this time. Night Rain strength, that kind of inconceivable godlike strength, made you unable to even have the courage to be envious and jealous. No one dared to laugh at Di Shi Tian. Because they knew that in front of Night Rain, anyone present would be beaten black and blue. Still want to come? A careless tone slowly sounded. Su Rui played with the magic staff in his hand, lightly raised his eyebrows and glanced at Yi Tian. There was no provocation nor disregard in this glance, it was so calm that it made people flustered. At this moment, Yi Tian truly realized that from the beginning, Night Rain was not provoking him at all, an ant vainly trying to shake an elephant was overestimating its own capabilities. And the elephant leisurely walked directly on the road, not because it was ignoring the ant, but because the ant had never appeared in its eyes. The height was different, the field of view was different, and the state of mind was also very different. Without answering Su Rui's words, Yi Tian's figure slightly swayed and directly disappeared in front of everyone. Di Shi Tian went offline. Yi Tian at least still maintained the pride of a man. He went offline, and from then on, he never went online again. Of course, this was all in the future. At this time, seeing Di Shi Tian directly go offline, the surrounding people were both surprised and felt that it was natural, no one could stay on this matter if it was placed on them. Once Di Shi Tian went offline, the Shirtion members who were subdued by Su Rui's domineering attitude also left dejectedly. Those who returned to the city, those who went offline. Hui Mao Yi Xiao still stood in the same place, her complexion ashen. The man who could originally shelter her from the wind and rain, who could do everything for her, was beaten black and blue by night rain in front of her eyes. Hui Mao Yi Xiao's heart was shocked. For the first time, she knew that there would actually be such a powerful man in the game. And such an outstanding man was actually used by Su Qingwanyu, that homicidal demon, to cheat. This was really too much. Night rain. Seemingly exhausting all the strength in her body, Hui Mao Yi Xiao suddenly stepped forward and called Su Rui. I have some words I want to say to you about Su Qingwanyu. Su Rui raised his eyebrows, not concealing the disgust in his eyes at all. Extremely boring. As he spoke, he already unhesitatingly strode towards Su Wan. Night rain, do you really believe that Su Qingwanyu never liked Di Shirtion? Seeing that Night Rain refused to pay attention to her, Hui Mao Yi Xiao had no choice but to shout loudly. Her shout actually made those onlookers who hadn't gone far stop their footsteps. Your mother, today's big play, you've just finished singing and I'm on the stage. Is this going to change from fighting and killing to love? Chapter 83. Night Rain, do you really believe that Su Qingwanyu never liked Di Shirtion? Hui Mao Yi Xiao's words didn't set off the slightest ripple in Su Rui's heart, but these words made the surrounding members of Eternal Night and Phoenix Dances, the two great guilds, especially the girls in the guild, unhappy. Pretty beauty. Hey, that shameless guy over there. Your man has already gone offline, and you're still trying to seduce our Prince Charming. Can't you have some integrity and self-awareness? Our family's president's male god is Goddess Wanyu's. What does it have to do with you all? On July 7th, that's right, which woman hasn't fallen in love with a scumbag before? Even if one you really liked Trash Man Tian before, that was also in the past. Popular woman, there is a kind of green tea called Hui Mao Yi Xiao, 50 cents a piece, buy one get one free. Dance baby, auntie, it's not popular to sow discord now. You're even a vicious supporting female character and I think you're too out. In front of Feng Wu's young ladies, Hui Mao Yi Xiao immediately transformed into a slag with only 5 battle power. She moved her lips, an expression of tears flowing before she spoke. It was a pity that the surrounding male onlookers were enjoying themselves. Who had the mood to have tender feelings for the fairer sex? Moreover, if everyone still couldn't see Hui Mao Yi Xiao's essence by now, then they should really eat some brain-dead pills to pull up their IQ that was lower than normal. How boring. Su Rui walked in front of Su Wan and smiled at her. Do you want me to help you level up? All right. Su Wan nodded her head. The two people were still in a team state, so Su Wan simply and straightforwardly followed the captain, and then the two people left this place of trouble as if no one else was present. When Hui Mao Yi Xiao struggled out of everyone's siege, she discovered that Yi Yu and Su Qingwanyu had already left. This day was a very lively day. This day was also a milestone day for Lingshan in the Huaxia region. After Di Shirtion went offline, someone quickly uploaded the video of Night Rain killing Di Shirtion to the forum. A PK god has appeared in the Huaxia region. If you're not convinced, come fight me. How did the number 1 Sakura of the 4th district get crushed into dregs? Throughout the day, the entire forum was flooded with incoherent comments and videos that had been replayed hundreds of thousands of times. The entire Huaxia forum was almost paralyzed by the overwhelming number of visitors. Night Rain became a god in one battle. The Huaxia region became famous in one battle. He smiled proudly at all heroes. Even Jack, who had always thought highly of himself as the #1 fighter in the Northern American region, also climbed over the wall and downloaded Night Rain's PK video and reposted it on his personal homepage. The topic of PK God Night Rain's real and virtual world, the topic of profession and profession switching swept the global region of Lingshan. Even this also made a definite contribution to the future introduction of the second profession change and the two major profession skill switching in Lingshan. Under such an atmosphere, an inconspicuous ID silently uploaded a short video that most people had never seen before on the forum. In Lingshan, which family is strong in showing affection? Oh Pete, little icy cold hands, I won't speak, I'm just a porter for little video. This was a short video. At the beginning of the video, Night Rain was in midair, waving her staff, and immediately, thousands of miles of glaciers appeared below. Then the video screen changed and Su Chang-won-yu appeared from the transmission array. Endless yellow sand, among thousands of people, two people looked at each other. At this time, the background music sounded. It was the season's most popular love song, 1,000 Years in a Glance. Afterward, the video screen did a special soft light treatment. Night Rain walked in front of Su Chang-won-yu, held her with one hand, and the two people flew into the air. Then the view of the video changed from the sky to the earth. Everyone saw the frozen monsters on the ground automatically form 5 big words, Xiao Wan, I love you. There was no need to watch anymore. Many girls in front of the computer who inadvertently clicked on this video were already crying. Woo woo woo, Night Rain is so handsome and so infatuated. To have such a lover in this life, I'm really willing to die immediately. An hour later, Little Icy Cold Hands video actually stood out from a large number of PK videos and occupied the top position of the forum's red post. After those PK madmen who were originally unconvinced clicked on it, they originally wanted to find fault, but in the end, they could only silently withdraw and continue to ridicule in their hearts, your mother. You're handsome, it's fine if you're good at PK. But you're chasing a woman, it's a grade higher than us brothers, low-key, luxurious, and meaningful. Can't you just let us mortals have fun? If Lousy could have 1/10 of Night Rain, no, 1% would do. Using his 1% to chase after the school bell next door would be easy and without any pressure. Okay, going offline from Lingshan, Su Rui rubbed his arms. Although Lingshan advertised as having the highest degree of realism, but today in the game, when Su Rui used the wooden sword to fight Yi Tian, because of the limitations of the game data, he used internal strength and forcibly poured his internal strength into that wooden sword. Otherwise, how could it cause such a high damage value? Now that he went offline, Su Rui's arms were slightly sore. This was because of the game data's rejection of internal strength, causing a backlash. Sighing, Su Rui simply sat cross-legged on the bed and began to adjust his internal breath. Time passed by minute. When Su Rui opened his eyes again, it was already an hour later. Separated by the bedroom door, he smelled the fragrance coming from the kitchen. That fragrance was particularly strong and it was also mixed with a trace of a familiar aura to Su Rui. The chef came really early today. Perhaps it was because today's consumption was too big, Su Rui was really a bit hungry. He stood up and went straight to the kitchen. As a result, when he walked to the kitchen door, Su Rui's whole person was stunned. Su Wan stood in the kitchen, wearing an apron, her straight black hair loosely tied behind her head. At this time, she was stirring the soup with a serious face. Because her back was facing the door, Su Wan did not immediately notice Su Rui's arrival. The kitchen had already prepared 2 dishes, exquisite in appearance and rich in fragrance. Su Rui recognized the 2 dishes at a glance. One was shredded chicken and the other was salt-fried meat, and what Su Wan was currently cooking was ginger sauce fish fillet. Su Rui unconsciously blurted out the name of the dish. This was his favorite dish when he was in the General Fu. You even smelled this. Su Wan heard Su Rui's voice and immediately chuckled. It's my first time cooking. If it doesn't taste good, don't get angry. Ah. How could that be? As long as it's something you cook, I can eat it all. Su Rui leaned against the kitchen door, his hands crossed over his chest, quietly watching Su Wan's back. Su Wan, this is the first time you cook for me. Su Wan's hand holding the kitchen spatula slightly stiffened. Is that so? I didn't notice. Hee hee. Su Rui smiled and remembered that in the last world, he deliberately found an excuse to stay overnight and Su Wan only ordered an unpalatable takeout to send him away. Was their relationship not quite the same as it had been before? Su Wan, I'm really happy today. How about I go open a bottle of red wine? Saying this, Su Rui didn't wait for Su Wan to answer and went back to his bedroom. Now, all the high-end furniture and expensive red wine in the bedroom were also flown over by our families, young Master Situ. Hearing Su Rui's footsteps leaving, Su Wan stared blankly at the fish fillet in the pot and was somewhat lost in thought. She didn't know what happened to her. She clearly warned herself not to give him any hope, but today, she was inexplicably moved by him. Especially when Su Rui brought her to level alone in the afternoon. Su Wan had long noticed that his arm was strange, but seeing that he kept enduring, Su Wan didn't ask much. But after going offline, Su Wan still went to the door of Su Rui's room immediately. She wanted to take a look at his situation, but in the end, she saw Su Rui recuperating on the bed. At that moment, Su Wan suddenly felt a bit distressed. So after she turned around and left, she didn't return to her room but directly went to the kitchen. According to the memory of the little Junju that she received when she was in the Great Xia dynasty, she found some simple dishes that Su Rui liked to eat in her memory and busied herself in the kitchen. Perhaps, at this time, Su Wan still didn't feel or was even unwilling to admit one thing. Chapter 84. For the next few days, Su Rui kept bringing Su Wan to the neutral map to level up. Everywhere they went, thousands of miles were frozen. For such a big scene, the onlookers could only express envy and jealousy. And hate. Please, if you don't want to be chased by night rain, it's better to swallow this word into your stomach. Ever since that day when Night Rain abused Di Shirtian until he went offline, the next day, Shirtian Guild changed owners and Hui Mao Yi Shao never appeared again. But did you think that this was the end? On that day, Night Rain issued a bounty for the entire server, for all the players in Shirtian Guild. Just like when Di Shirtian issued a bounty for Su Qingwanyu, only that at that time, it was a guild for one person, and now, it was a person for an entire guild. Not long after, Shirtian Guild automatically disbanded. After Shirtian disbanded, Night Rain did not revoke the bounty, but changed the target to Wolf's Fang Guild. Lone Wolf also tried to communicate with Su Qingwanyu and even Night Rain, but it was very clear that his move did not have any effect. Wolf's Fang's people withdrew from the guild on the second day after they were chased. Not long after, Lone Wolf also no longer went online. After Wolf's Fang disbanded, when Huaxia Region's players thought that the bloody storm in Jianghu had finally passed, a big list suddenly appeared on the forum. Everyone on the list was impressively the people who took the bounty to hunt down Su Qingwanyu. Even those who had been slapped in the face on the forum who ridiculed Feng Wu as not worthy of eternal night were also on the list. At this time, everyone understood that our family's Night Rain Darren wanted to become enemies with the entire server for a woman. It must be known that the people who casually hooted and ridiculed on the forum were basically scattered in Huaxia's various major regions, and some were even the backbone of the major guilds in other major regions. Could it be that he wanted to become the public enemy of the entire server? Well, even if Night Rain didn't do this, he was also the public enemy of all male players in the entire server. Because after Night Rain's big name list came out, the post was full of extremely enthusiastic messages from female players. All the girls felt that Night Rain's leader simply couldn't be too domineering. Su Changwon, you simply couldn't be too happy. In order to let this pair of lovers finally get married, the girls decided to spontaneously clear the obstacles for them in their own district and clean up the sinners. Just like this, the big chase that lasted for 2 months began, and this experience was still the most talked about legend in Lingshan after a long time. With Su Rui's help, Su Wan quickly rose to level 80, and Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild also gradually gained a foothold in Huaxia's 4 districts, faintly becoming the leader of the 4 districts. After forming an alliance with Eternal Night, Phoenix Dances also formed an alliance with Xiaoyao Pavilion. The 3 guilds helped each other, and not long after, they attacked the first guild fortress city on the neutral battlefield. And this city was named Late Moon City by Su Rui and was directly gifted to Su Wan. Feng Wu's girls thought, brother-in-law is so handsome. Brother-in-law is the best. Girls from the Eternal Night Guild, Mr. Guild Leader, will you die if you don't show off your love for a day? Hashtag our president has a disease that will kill him if he doesn't flaunt his love. Can he still be saved? Waiting online. It's quite urgent. Hashtag regarding the Eternal Night people's broken glass hearts, Su Rui didn't have time to pay attention to them. Because after helping Su Wan reach the maximum level, Su Rui rarely went online. Offline, he was busy dealing with Yi family. Speaking of which, after Yi Tian withdrew from Lingshan, he immediately took over the family business and began to set up a trap in the stock market to retaliate against Situ family. Regarding the stock market sniper war, Su Rui really didn't have much experience. Fortunately, he still had the financial genius Su Xiaowan by his side. The 2 people joined hands and quickly defeated Yi family. Su Rui even took advantage of his illness to take his life and directly made Yi family bankrupt. After Yi family went bankrupt, there was finally no movement from Yi Tian's side. But at this time, Su Wan did not immediately request to leave the mission world as usual. Su Wan didn't leave, and Su Rui naturally wouldn't take the initiative to ask her to leave. In fact, Su Rui liked this world very much, and he knew that Lingshan would be updated again after 2 months. This time, it would be updated to a new level of 100. Moreover, it would also introduce a new marriage system, shop system, territory defense system, and even the immigration system that people paid the most attention to. The so-called immigration system was specially open for some citizens who changed their nationality in the process of playing the game. As long as you pay a certain fee, you can migrate from your original region to the region where your current nationality is located. Of course, Su Rui didn't care about these at all. He just wanted to wait for the marriage system to open to propose to Su Wan at the first moment, and then the 2 people would hold a more grand wedding in the game than in the last world. Then, every world has to get married and whatnot. Thinking about it, it's all so great. Su Wan didn't know Su Rui's thoughts. The reason why she didn't leave was because Su Wan knew that according to the rules of this world, the female lead Hui Mao Yi Xiao wouldn't be defeated so quickly. She didn't have Di Shi Tian now and could only dejectedly leave the game world. But what kind of person was Hui Mao Yi Xiao? She was the kind of person who went out in a daze and got hit by a car. The driver must be a tyrannical CEO. If she went to the milk tea shop to work to make ends meet, the customer she encountered must be an elite male who returned from abroad. If she does, in short, wherever our family Hui Mao Yi Xiao goes, peach blossoms will bloom. That's right, this was the female lead's law. The female lead must become braver the more she suffers. The female lead must go out and meet a CEO. When the female lead was in a difficult situation, when she was framed, there would always be all kinds of CEOs who happened to pass by for various reasons. The facts were just as Su Wan expected. Hui Mao Yi Xiao's real name was Yu Xiao Xiao. She and Yi Tian had already developed into a couple in real life, but after Yi family went bankrupt, Yi Tian was unable to recover from the setback. In order to let him pull himself together again, Yu Xiao began to go around asking those original Yi Tian's friends to lend a helping hand. Unfortunately, when Yi family's tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Who was still willing to help? On the contrary, there was a pervert who took a fancy to Yu Xiao's good looks and wanted to have something happen with her. Yu Xiao naively thought that that person was a good person. When she discovered that she had been fooled, Yu Xiao fled from the clubhouse in disheveled clothes in a fluster. Then, without even looking, she drilled into a strange man's car. Well, this man just happened to be an overbearing CEO. When the private detective sent all of Yu Xiao's recent situation to Su Wan's mailbox, Su Wan also didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Yu Xiao's life could simply be written into several romance novels, okay? Since the heavens let Yu Xiao experience a second spring, Su Wan thought about it. Perhaps she really had to stay in this world for a few more months. 2 months' time passed by in a flash. Before Christmas, Lingshan finally updated with the latest version. The marriage system and the immigration system were all opened on time. After logging into the game again, all the players in the Huaxia region looked at the red roses all over the mountains and plains and the big pink words that continuously flashed on the world bulletin board. They were already completely immune, okay? What Su Chengwan, you marry me? What Su Chengwan, you, I love you. Night Rain, you're really enough. As a great god, using your life to show affection like this, have you ever considered the feelings of a single Wang? Have you ever understood the sorrow of a single man? All the single players expressed, Night Rain and Su Chengwan use big wedding and whatnot, the wedding I will definitely not go. It said that gold coins will be given if you attend the wedding. It said that the beauties in Phoenix dances are the bridesmaids. Well, it's not for the gold coins. It's definitely not for the beauties. Night Rain's proposal rose lasted for a full 3 hours in the game. Su Wan was always online, but she couldn't go with Su Rui to the auditorium set up in the game to get married. The matter was like this -3 hours ago when it was time to go online in the game. Su Wan went online for the first time because she remembered that she seemed to have a hidden mission that needed to be done. Opening the mission list, she found that mission, hidden mission, Mermaid King's wish, unique, mission progress 0% mission hint, the Mermaid King who has been sealed for 1,000 years misses her other clansmen. Player, please go to the mermaid's village to find the abyss fish demon and collect 100 amethyst ambers. This time, the system updated the level cap and new maps. The mermaid's village was a level 85 map. Su Wan didn't think much and directly teleported to the mermaid's village. Amethyst ambers were collected items and dropped when fighting the abyss fish demon, but the drop rate was not high. While fighting, Su Wan saw the sky full of roses and the world announcement of Su Rui proposing to her. Following that was Su Rui's private message. Because Su Rui dealt with some Situ family's business today, he went online a bit later than Su Wan. Su Rui did not mention the marriage proposal. He first asked Su Wan's position and quickly teleported to her side. Chapter 85. According to the rules of the game, Su Wan's hidden mission was unique and the reward could not be shared with others. But when doing the mission, she could still form a team with others to collect the loot. Therefore, Su Rui naturally volunteered to form a team with Su Wan. The two people farmed together and very quickly, they farmed 100 amethyst ambers. After collecting the collected items, Su Rui accompanied Su Wan to the Millennium Realm instance. Because they were in a team, Su Rui still entered the instance with Su Wan as a teammate and saw the Mermaid King's soul with his own eyes. Right now, the Mermaid King appeared very weak. Seeing Su Wan hand her the amethyst amber, the Mermaid King seemed to finally breathe a sigh of relief. She carefully took out a light blue egg and condensed all of the amethyst amber into nutrients. Using all of her soul power, she poured all of her vitality and remaining magic into the light blue egg. Mermaid King, this is my descendant. She has also been sealed for 1,000 years. Now, she finally has the chance to see the world with her own eyes. Kind warrior, I am about to leave. Please help me, raise her well. Quest hint, the Mermaid King's wish, unique, quest progress 50%. Are you willing to accept the last words of the Mermaid King and help her raise the next generation? Su-won, this egg was the Mermaid King's child. Well, I heard that most pets in the game are hatched from eggs. After hesitating for a moment, Su-won still chose to accept. As a result, the Mermaid King naturally died with a smile, and the egg flashing with blue light quietly fell into Su-won's palm. System notification, the Mermaid King's wish, unique, quest has been completed. The reward obtained is the Mermaid King's descendant, pet egg. Do you wish to immediately hatch the Mermaid King's descendant? Su-won chose yes. As a result, another line of words appeared in the system notification, the Mermaid King's descendant is a special, unique, pet. It possesses both the human and Mermaid King bloodlines. Which bloodline would you like to activate? A. Human bloodline, able to act cute and act coquettishly. B. Mermaid King bloodline, able to move through water and move her tail. Su-won, system, come out. Let's have a chat. What the hell are you doing? The planner of this mission was definitely a lunatic, right? Lingshan Game Planning Room, a certain crazy programmer Yuan Gij suddenly sneezed. Oh my, which girl is thinking of me? In the game world, let's choose Su Rui, who had been following behind Su-won, suddenly spoke in a low voice. Just now, Su Rui also saw the option in front of Su-won. His intuition had always been accurate and his perception was off the charts. The moment the option appeared in front of Su-won, Su Rui had a particularly strong feeling, choose A, I must choose A. Originally, Su-won had already decided to choose B because in her opinion, the Mermaid King's bloodline pet should be a bit stronger. But at this time, she just happened to hear Su Rui's words. Su-won hesitated for a moment and still chose A instead. It was just a game data, nothing more. Su-won really didn't care much at that time. At this moment, the system notification flashed again, player selection successful. Please wait online for 3 hours for the birth of a new life. The system warmly reminds you, please do not leave. And please give the little life a little care, let her know that there is true love in the world. Su-won, Su Rui, the system must have gone insane, right? Just like that, the two of them were trapped inside the instance dungeon. They stared at the egg for a good 3 hours. And at this time, Su Rui didn't forget to keep proposing on the world announcement. He didn't delay either of them. Say yes. Say yes. Be together. Be together. At this time, the World Channel was already flooded with Night Rain Darren support group, and Su-won's private mailbox was also filled to the brim. Compared to the liveliness of the outside world, the instance was deathly quiet. On the beautiful seabed, the remains of the original castle also disappeared after the Mermaid King disappeared. Su Rui and Su-won sat side by side. The two of them didn't speak, the atmosphere was harmonious and tranquil. In front of the two people, a giant pet egg emitting a light blue luster floated quietly. When the countdown ended, the blue light around the egg gradually dissipated, and then only a cracking sound was heard. A burst of soft yellow light flashed. After the light dissipated, Su-won and Su Rui were completely stunned in place, dumbfounded. A fair and cute little girl with 2 ponytails, wearing a blue dress, shyly stood in front of the two people. She suddenly flashed a pair of big eyes. She first looked at Su Wan, then tilted her head and looked at Su Rui excitedly. Suddenly, she shouted, "Dad!" Su Rui. Su Wan. Who can tell her where this little girl who looks like Su Rui came from? What about the agreed pet? Have you ever seen your own pet call someone else Dad while wearing someone else's face? Su Wan was at a loss. That little girl happily took a step forward and threw herself into Su Wan's arms. Pouting her pink lips, she called out in a childish voice, "Mom." Su Wan. System prompt, pet unique mermaid king's descendant has been born. Once this pet is bound, it can't be unbound for a lifetime. Asking player, do you want to bind it immediately? Su Wan was still a bit confused at this time, but the little girl in her arms suddenly flashed her big clear eyes, raised her head with a delicate and charming face, and called out in a childish voice, "Mom." Su Wan. Okay, bind it immediately. System prompt, player Su Ching Wan, you'd successfully bound pet unique mermaid king's descendant, please immediately name your pet. Name. Su Wan was just about to casually pick a name when her priest robe was forcefully pulled by someone again. The little girl still raised her head, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Su Wan, your mother, facing a smaller version of Su Rui, still delicate and charming and innocent, inexplicably making people soft-hearted. What to do? Mom, I have a name. The little girl's voice was still childish and pleasant to listen to. My name is Su Xiaosu, pet name Su Su. Speaking till here, Su Xiaosu quietly glanced at Su Rui. Su Xiaosu or something, Su Xiaosu or something, that's enough. But this is the name that Daddy gave. Su Xiaosu means that she doesn't have a person, right? Oh, almost forgot, she's actually not a person, she's just a group of data. And, maybe she can also be called super artificial intelligence. Su Xiaosu. Little Su Su. This name made Su Wan's face black. Why not directly call her Little Su, crisp? Add a bottle of beer and you can eat it, okay? System prompt, pet naming successful. Su Wan. When did she name it? Lowering her head and seeing the 3 shining big words on top of the little girl's head, Su Wan was completely speechless. Okay, you'll be called Su Xiaosu. It's just a pet. Su Wan felt that she can't always haggle over a pile of data, right? Su Xiaosu immediately acted like a spoiled child and pulled Su Wan's arm, desperately shaking it a few times. Mom is the best, Su Su loves you the most. Of course, Su Su also loves Dad kisses. As she spoke, Su Xiaosu didn't forget to turn around and blow a kiss at Su Rui. Su Rui. At this time, Lingshan game planning room. And, there seems to be something wrong. There shouldn't be anything wrong, right? Chapter 86. The vigorous world marriage proposal that lasted for more than 3 hours finally ended after Su Wan exited the instance and clicked accept. Marriage in the game was much simpler than reality. After both parties confirmed their relationship, they could directly form a team of husband and wife to the wedding hall in the center of Longqing and have the NPC priest preside over the wedding. Of course, at this time, if the bride and groom wanted more blessings, they could use their own money to buy a supreme wedding invitation in the game shop and invite all the players in the server to participate in this banquet. According to Su Rui's plan, the wedding was very grand. The entire wedding venue was packed with players who came to give their blessings. However, because there was a variable that was originally outside of Su Rui's plan, the newlyweds who should have been the center of attention at the wedding ceremony were tragically ignored in the end. Dance baby, little sister, you're so cute. You're called Su Xiaosu, don't tell me you're Wan Yu Jijia's younger sister? Delicate beauty, Xiao Wu Jijia, what's with your eyes? This is clearly our family's leader Darren's younger sister. Look at how much she looks like our leader. Melancholy sheep, actually, I have a strange premonition again. E'en on the 7th of July. Come, little lowly, obediently tell your older sister, just whose younger sister are you? Su Xiao Su, tightly pulling the corner of Su Wan's clothes. Mama, this older sister's smile is so strange. Su doesn't want to be friends with her. E'en on the 7th of July. Delicate beauty, I'm definitely hearing things, right? Melancholy sheep, sure enough, my premonition was right. Dance baby, you're Wan Yujijia's daughter. How old are you this year? Su Xiao Su, I'm 6 this year, my mama is 24 years old. Delicate beauty, 17 years old and already has a baby and whatnot. Baby's father can't be my leader Darren, right? Although there was a bit of a questioning tone, but looking at Su Xiaosu's appearance, Delicate Beauty really couldn't convince herself to say that this was just a coincidence. Melancholy sheep, my intuition tells me that there's a story here. Popular woman, Su, can you tell us the story of your father and mother? Su Xiaosu, her eyes lit up. Okay, here's the thing. My dad and my mom were childhood sweethearts who were betrothed to each other before they were even born. Unfortunately, my mother's family declined when she was young, so she stayed with the Situ family and stayed with my father. However, the good times didn't last long. After Madame Situ found out that the two of them were secretly together, she broke them up and forcefully separated them. After that, my mother was forced to live in another place, and she had to raise me while going to school. Sob, so pitiful. Such a poor mother had to work 3 jobs a day and earn money for milk powder in the game at night. You guys see that she looks strong on the outside, but in fact, she's more fragile than anyone else. The most infuriating thing is that in the game, Mommy actually still has to be bullied by Di Shi Tian and Hui Mao Yi Xiao, that pair of sluts. Su is so sad. Woo. A group of female players, Goddess Wan Yu is so pitiful. A group of male players, no wonder Night Rain is so desperate to chase after his wife. This was the punishment for being a scumbag who abandoned his wife and daughter. Su Rui. Su Wan, Su Xiaosu, that's enough. If you talk nonsense again, I'll lock you in the pet bar and never let you out. Afterwards, the rumors in the streets went like this. At Night Rain and Su Cheng Wanyu's grand wedding ceremony, in order to express her love for Su Cheng Wanyu, Night Rain spent a lot of money to custom-make a humanoid pet in the game shop and gave it to Su Cheng Wanyu as a token of love. That super realistic character not only looked very similar to Night Rain, but it was also very intelligent. Not only could it call Daddy and Mommy, it could even tell stories with vivid expressions. Although Lingshan customer service repeatedly explained that the super realistic intelligent pet was only the reward for Su Cheng Wanyu completing the hidden task, a group of local tyrant players only felt that they were being despised. Do you think I can't afford to spend this money? Come, say a price. Big brother will tell you what a real cancer is. It has pincers, it's willful. As a result, everyone in Lingshan's planning room had no choice but to work overtime for 3 consecutive days, and 3 days later, the most expensive game prop in Lingshan was truly launched in the game shop, custom-made pet. Once this prop came out, it was immediately warmly pursued by a large number of players in Lingshan. This was also considered an unexpected joy for the game operator. On Christmas, Lijiang City had a very timely snowfall. Su Rui originally planned to book a Western restaurant near his home and celebrate the holidays with Su Wan, but on such a good day, he was actually stood up. Lijiang City, a certain coffee shop in the center of the city. Are you very surprised to see me? Yu Xiao stirred the coffee with one hand, slightly raised her eyebrows, and calmly looked at Su Wan. Su Wan curled her lips. Say, what did you look for me for? I don't want to be ruthless towards you. Yu Xiao assumed a posture of having victory in her grasp, so as long as you withdraw from Lingshan now, I will let Feng Wu and Yong Ye's people go. Otherwise what? Tell your mixed-race boyfriend to kill us all. Soo-won couldn't help but smile. Oh yeah, what's that man's name again? Charlie or Chael? Do you think that just because he's good at business, he's good at games? Yu Xiao froze for a moment. She didn't know why Soo-won knew of Chael's existence, but these things weren't important right now. Chael, he's not an ordinary businessman. He's the Prince of Felt's Principality. He has the ability to make the Situ family finished, and even acquire TX and Lingshan. Prince and whatnot, acquire the entire game company and whatnot. You brat, you read too many brainless novels. Is Yi Tian still okay? Soo-won suddenly asked inexplicably. Hearing Yi Tian's name, Yu Xiao's face darkened. You. Why are you asking this? This is a matter between me and Tian Gij, it has nothing to do with you. Oh, Tian Gij calling him so affectionately. Does your family's Tian Gij know about your relationship with Chael or that man called Charlie? As she spoke, Soo-won unhurriedly took out a stack of photos from her bag. They were all photos of Yu Xiao and that mixed-race handsome guy in bed. These photos are all taken pretty well. What do you think Yi Tian's reaction will be after seeing them? You're so despicable. Yu Xiao's face changed greatly. She grabbed the photos in her hands in a panic and tore them all up one by one. She wasn't wrong. She didn't betray Tian Gij. She was just desperate. Although she was coerced by Chael in the beginning, but now. At least Chael was willing to help Yi Tian make a comeback for her. She endured humiliation to carry a heavy load. Everything she did was because of love, because of Yi Tian. It's not my fault. I didn't want it either. Soo-won, it's all your fault. How can you be so vicious? Yu Xiao couldn't help but scream shrilly. Soo-won just looked at her indifferently. Your brain is grown on your own body and the things you did were all done by yourself. Yu Xiao, you pushed everything to others so that you can betray your own feelings with a clear conscience. No, perhaps it shouldn't be called betrayal. People like you don't deserve to talk about feelings. This kind of brainless, but loved by everyone, who could even treat cheating as true love and treat NPC as a proud female lead, Soo-won had really seen a lot. What do you mean you were forced by others? Did others hold a knife to your neck and let you cheat? Did Yi Tian cry and beg you to help him make a comeback? The so-called self-righteous, nothing more than this. And the origin of all this gratitude and resentment, in the end, was still Yu Xiao herself. She clearly knew the relationship between Di Shi Tian and Su Qingwanyu, but she was still unclear with Yi Tian, ambiguous and unceasingly. Is this really not intentional? A woman that can be cheap like this, can also be considered a flower of wonder. Oh right, I almost forgot to give this to you. Soo-won took out the tablet computer from her bag and opened the already connected video. Look, it's a live broadcast. The prince's wedding is very grand, right? At this time, a grand wedding was being played on the screen of the computer. And the groom of the wedding had a very deep silhouette, blue eyes, pure black hair. This was Yu Xiao's current lover, Prince Chael. This. What is this? Soo-won, you must have found someone to fake this. This isn't real. It's not real. Yu Xiao shook her head desperately, her eyes were red and she firmly bit her lips. Soo-won, what do you want to do? Why won't you let me go? Soo-won shook her head, it's you who won't let yourself go. If you had been well-behaved and kept following Yi Tian, would today's matter have happened? Yu Xiao, everything was done by you. Don't use your true love for Yi Tian and sacrifice yourself for Yi Tian as an excuse. If you really love Yi Tian and have no feelings for Chael, why are you so excited when you see Prince Chael getting married? What do you feel wronged for? What do you think you are? The prince's true love. Have you read too many fairy tales? You are just one of his many lovers. Prince Chael is only interested in you for a while. The main reason he agreed to help you is because of Yi Tian's talent. As she spoke, Su-won pushed the tablet in front of Yu Xiao. Open your eyes and look carefully. Who is in the best man group? It's Yi Tian. The current Yi Tian did not have the decadence and loss when Yi family had just gone bankrupt. He wore a black formal attire and the whole person looked energetic. No, it's not real, it's not real. Yu Xiao's body seemed to have been emptied of all her strength. She slid down from the seat and then, as if she had suddenly gone crazy, she madly ran out of the coffee shop. Su-won just looked at the figure in the snow. She quietly watched Yu Xiao run while talking on the phone, and then a speeding car crashed into her body at high speed. Bright red blood dyed the silver-white ice and snow red. Su-won quietly turned off her tablet and her phone quickly rang. It's done very cleanly. Su-won picked up the phone and spoke in a low voice in a foreign language. A very elegant female voice came from the other side. This kind of existence that obstructs the royal family's face naturally needs to be erased as soon as possible. Of course, I still have to thank Su for your most generous help. Whether it's money or information, I am very sincerely grateful to you. You can rest assured that when my prince defeats Chael and succeeds in ascending the throne, he will definitely not forget the promise he made that day. Yi family will not have the chance to rise again. Then Su-won thanks your royal highness. After hanging up the phone, Su-won packed up her things and paid the bill. She slowly left the coffee shop alone. She stayed in this world for so long, exchanged all her stocks for sky-high cash, and used it all to support Queen Nia, waiting for this day. At this time, the scene of the car accident at the intersection of the street had already been surrounded by a large group of people. Blood was still spreading on the snow, but Su-won didn't even look at it. You're leaving. A low male voice suddenly sounded behind her. Su-won's footsteps sank, but she didn't look back. Sorry, I stole your points this time. You should know that I hate this kind of whore and still want to establish a memorial arch then. Su-won behind her took a step forward, as if he wanted to grab Su-won's shoulder, but at this time, Su-won suddenly strode forward again. In the white snow, last time, he carried her on his back and walked forward step by step. This time, she always turned her back to him, maintaining the closest and farthest distance. Su-won, if there's a next time, I will still do this, so don't follow me anymore. Su-won's voice was particularly serious, and it seemed a little lonely in the drifting snowflakes. I don't remember how many people I've harmed, and I want to continue like this. Su-won responded. His tone seemed careless, but in fact, he was very serious. Su-won, I've killed more people than you, I'm even more ruthless than you, and… Su-won, do you know? I came to the lost space to find you and became a mission enforcer. Even if I can't get a point, it doesn't matter. As long as I can be in the same world with you, I feel very satisfied. Really? Su-won's voice was a little hesitant and absent-minded. At this time, she had already started to contact the headquarters to confirm the withdrawal from the mission. Su-won, I want to believe, but I don't dare to believe you. Please forgive me for being timid and selfish. I selfishly want more promises, before I'm willing to deliver my heart to you. The heavy snow covered Su-won's line of sight. Su-won had already walked further and further away. At this time, the voice of mission failure sounded in Su-won's mind. Yu Xiao died. The mission was judged as a complete failure. The mission failed. Su Xiaosu came out of nowhere, wearing a furry and round red down jacket. Seeing that Su-won didn't speak, Su Xiaosu's eyes turned and she immediately said to herself in a childish voice, after the mission fails, do I have to leave this world at the specified time? Dad, hurry up and copy the information from my microchip. I've already copied Godling's entire system. We'll use this information in the future. Su Xiaosu's words made Su Wan return to his senses. In fact, when he first saw Su Xiaosu in the game, Su Wan had a particularly strange feeling. And after going offline from the game that day, Su Xiaosu suddenly appeared in Su Wan's bedroom, which finally made Su Wan certain that there must be some kind of close connection between him and Su Xiaosu. And from Su Xiaosu's narration, Su Wan knew that as a super artificial intelligence that could change into an adult, Su Xiaosu turned out to be Su Wan's experimental product in a future world with advanced technology. Dad, I'm actually just a data copy of the original body. Now, I can't leave the world of Lingshin. However, after you come to a certain mission time and space and research my original body, our family of 3 can reunite again. This was the original words that Su Xiaosu said to Su Wan at that time. In Su Xiaosu's narration, including Su Wan, the 3 of them were a very happy family. Perhaps it was because the future that Su Xiaosu said was too desirable, or perhaps it was because he felt that his connection with her was really close, so Su Wan believed Su Xiaosu's words, the copy of Su Xiaosu that was put into this world from the future. She didn't come to sell her cuteness and show her existence. In fact, she shouldered a mission, that was to copy the data system of Lingshin. When Su Xiaosu transferred all the data of Lingshin into Su Wan's mind, she reluctantly turned into a data stream and returned to the game world of Lingshin. In the future, she could only stay in this world. Su Xiaosu, we will see each other again. Silently leaving this sentence, Su Wan also started the procedure to leave the mission world according to his previous practice. In the world of Lingshin, in order to celebrate Christmas, the whole world was also wrapped in silver and snow was flying. Su Xiaosu quietly walked on the unmanned map, snowflakes falling on her petite shoulders. Dad, Mom. Su Xiaosu suddenly wanted to cry a little, but it seemed that Dad had forgotten to set up tear ducts for her. She was given human feelings at the beginning, but she was not given the right to cry. Su Xiaosu's ears seemed to recall Su Wan's low voice from another world. In the future, you will be called Su Xiaosu, my and Su Wan's daughter. Your world doesn't need tears, because we won't let you cry. She, who has always existed in that world, must be very, very happy, right? Su Xiaosu suddenly felt a little jealous of her original body. Chapter 87. Leaving the mission world, when Su Wan woke up in the executive cabin, her mind was still in a trance. When she saw the person who had been waiting next to the executive cabin, her brows unconsciously knitted. Yi Xian, what's the matter? Yi Xian, plane destroyer no. 2. For Yi Xian, who had been suppressing her, Su Wan was actually not hostile. She just saw Yi Xian's solemn expression at the moment and keenly felt that she was standing here waiting for her, definitely not for a good thing. Jiang Yu left. Yi Xian looked down at Su Wan and lightly said, I don't think she will come back. In the lost time and space, once each mission enforcer had accumulated enough points, they could exchange for anything, including leaving the ranks of mission enforcers and settling down in any time and space they like. As long as you have points, everything is not a problem. So, you came to inform me that you are already my immediate superior. Su Wan looked at Yi Xian and felt that things were not so simple. Sure enough, hearing Su Wan's words, Yi Xian's expression became more serious. Recently, there have been many bugs that should not exist in the major mission time and space. This has made the headquarters attach great importance to it. Jiang Yu is not here and I am now replacing her position to go to the headquarters for a meeting. Before this, the headquarters has issued a difficult task to clear the bug to every department. Among the remaining people in our department, I think only you can complete this task. As she spoke, Yi Xian opened her communicator and a task marked with a red asterisk appeared out of thin air in front of Su Wan. Star task, enforcer must complete. clear the external bug in this mission world. Type of bug, female supporting reversal system. Time limit, within 10 years of the mission world. External system. Seeing the content of the task, Soo-won immediately became serious. Although the various mission enforcers in the lost time and space had also done rebirth, female supporting reversal, cannon fodder counterattack, and so on, they all relied on their own abilities and never used external systems to complete it. From the perspective of the world's original consciousness, whether you are reborn or transmigrated, when you become a person of this world, you will be bound by the laws of this world. If you have the ability to counterattack and turn over, it is all based on your own efforts. As long as you do not touch the laws of the world, it is allowed. However, the existence of those systems is against the laws of the world. They are foreign invaders. They were collectively known as bugs in the lost dimension. This mission is very difficult. I carefully studied that female supporting character's reversal system. It's practically a cheat code. Speaking of this, Yi Axean couldn't help but look at Soo-won. Moreover, because you came back late, you have missed the best time to enter the task space. If you enter this task space at this time, the situation will probably be very bad. Of course, the reward of the mission is also proportional to the degree of danger. Hearing Yi Axean's words, Soo-won didn't speak and just silently glanced at the reward points at the bottom of the task. 50,000 points. Send the mission to me. I'll take it. As she spoke, Soo-won unexpectedly lay back down in the operation cabin without thinking. Since the more time she delayed, the worse the situation would be. She must race against time now. Yi Axean nodded. After passing the mission to Soo-won, she hesitated and couldn't help but ask in a low voice, I'm going to the headquarters for a meeting this time. Is there anything you want me to bring to? Soo-won's gaze suddenly fell on Yi Axean's face like an icy knife. Yi Axean had never seen Soo-won's eyes so cold. Her heart trembled slightly and she subconsciously explained, Jiang Yu told me when he left. If I have anything to say, I will say it to him face to face. After saying this expressionlessly, Soo-won had already closed her eyes and started the mission. Seeing Soo-won's operation cabin slowly close, Yi Axean opened her mouth. She wanted to remind Soo-won that she could actually change to the second cabin this time, but, forget it. In fact, there was no difference between the third cabin and the second cabin, right? The end of the world. When accepting this mission, Soo-won did not look at the mission description in detail. At this time, the information of the entire world was still stored in the depths of her memory. Soo-won opened her eyes and what entered her eyes were zombies wandering around. As far as the eye could see, it was boundless. This place was the enemy-occupied area. Soo-won blinked and stared blankly at the zombies leisurely wandering around her. They didn't seem to be able to see her at all. No, it's not like this. Soo-won raised her hand and found that her arm was very thick and her movements were very slow. Her cyan palm was covered with sharp cyan gray long nails. So to say, she was also a zombie. And it was even a newly advanced low-level zombie. Your sister. Although Yi Axean said that the situation in this mission world might be quite bad, Soo-won never thought that it would be bad to this extent. But since she was already here, she would take things as they come. Good professionalism still made Soo-won calm down very quickly. She slowly found a relatively quiet place that was not occupied by other zombies. She sat on the ground and began to slowly sort out the plot of this world. The bug carrier of this world was called Yang Zishi. She was born in a rich family in S City. Yang Zishi's past life was like a standard and neatly formatted life record of a vicious female supporting lead. In her past life, before the end of the world, Yang Zishi's engagement was broken off by her fiancé, Chu Feiyang, whom she had always liked. And the reason for breaking off the engagement was because Chu Feiyang's heart already belonged to someone else. At that time, young Zishi was very sad and unwilling. When she found out that the person Chu Feiyang liked turned out to be a commoner girl and that girl was not as good as herself, young Zishi began to feel mentally unbalanced. She found that girl called Su Wan and used her family's job and personal safety to threaten her, making her leave Chu Feiyang. For the sake of her family, Su Wan quietly left S City with her family and left Chu Feiyang. But at this time, the end of the world broke out. After the end of the world, all money and status were useless. In this dangerous time and space, Chu Feiyang disregarded his own safety and found Su Wan, who moved to T City. At this time, Su Wan's parents were already dead and her only younger sister was also missing. Su Wan, who was in a desperate situation, was rescued by Chu Feiyang. The two people saw their true feelings in adversity and finally reconciled. Not long after, T City fell into enemy hands. Because Chu Feiyang awakened his spirit and water dual abilities, he led a small team to break out of the encirclement and set off towards S City. On the way, Su Wan also obtained this very rare healing ability by chance. From then on, the two people started the protagonist's life of showing off their love while killing zombies in the end of the world. Of course, we still have to mention Yang Zishi. After the end of the world broke out, the Yang family also suffered a disaster. Many local punks even rushed into the Yang family and ransacked everything in the villa. Yang Zishi safely left the villa under the protection of her loyal bodyguard, Yang Wu. The two people had a thrilling journey. Yang Wu awakened his fire ability and protected Yang Zishi all the way with his own strength, until the two people met Chu Feiyang's team on the way out of S City. Seeing Chu Feiyang and Su Wan's loving appearance, the jealousy in Yang Zishi's heart began to grow wildly. She and Yang Wu had no choice but to join Chu Feiyang's team in order to smoothly reach the next safe zone. But because Yang Zishi was used to a pampered life, even after the end of the world, she was always carefully taken care of by Yang Wu on the way to escape. Now, to integrate into a small team, as an ordinary person without abilities, Yang Zishi had to bear the heavy logistical work like others. In contrast, Su Wan, who had the healing ability, didn't have to do anything every day and would get everyone's good impression and praise. Under the imbalance of jealousy and hatred, Yang Zishi planned to lead Su Wan into a group of zombies and wanted to borrow the hands of the zombies to make her disappear. Who knew that this plan was already seen through by Chu Feiyang? At the last moment, Chu Feiyang saved Su Wan and pushed Yang Zishi into the group of zombies. Originally, this world's plot that belonged to Yang Zishi ended here, but because the resentment in Yang Zishi's heart was too heavy, after her death, her soul did not disperse and was actually captured and bound by the external system. So, Yang Zishi was reborn. Reborn to a month before the end of the world, Yang Zishi not only used her own system space to store a lot of materials and energy, she could even predict the direction of the plot of this world and everyone's future through the system. When she learned that in the previous life, she was just a cannon fodder female supporting and Su Wan was the female lead who had a smooth journey, this made Yang Zishi's hatred increase by another layer. Fortunately, she now had the female supporting reversal system. Counterattacking the female lead and snatching the female lead's opportunity, everything was no longer a dream. When the end of the world once again arrived as scheduled, Yang Zishi took Yang Wu alone to a mountainous area near T City. According to the system's prompt, she found the opportunity that originally belonged to Su Wan there and successfully obtained the healing ability. Moreover, she also used the system props to directly help Yang Wu stimulate the wind and fire dual abilities. Then, Yang Zishi followed the system's prompt step by step and, coincidentally, met some of the brothers who originally went through fire and water with Chu Feiyang in the previous life. In this life, Yang Zishi took them all under her command. At this time, because she used too many system points to exchange for information and props, young Zishi didn't have too many usable points. Fortunately, she still had the main mission of the cannon fodder to get rid of the original female lead and original male lead. As long as Chu Feiyang and Su Wan disappeared smoothly, she could get a huge amount of points in one go, enough for her to open up spiritual fields and immortal springs in her system space. From then on, she would be able to travel unimpeded in the end of the world. Just like this, young Zishi took Yang Wu and her team and deliberately chose a long detour route. As a result, according to the system's prediction, they really met Chu Feiyang and Su Wan. At this time, although the situation of the two people was not considered embarrassing, it was not as glorious as in the previous life. This made young Zishi feel very happy in her heart. She had already thought about how to retaliate against these two people. In the previous life, Chu Feiyang personally pushed herself into the zombie group for Su Wan. In this life, young Zishi once again led Chu Feiyang and Su Wan to the front of that group of zombies. This time, she personally pushed Su Wan into the zombie group and looked at Chu Feiyang indifferently and happily. You can choose to save her, or even die together with her. Of course, you can also choose to turn around and leave. We will never make things difficult for you and chase after you. The end of the world had already made people accustomed to indifference and self-protection. In the previous life, Su Wan had a healing ability and could help Chu Feiyang everywhere. But in this life, Su Wan, who was just an ordinary person, was only Chu Feiyang's burden and burden along the way. Love, no matter how deep it was, in the face of ruthless time and cruel reality, it would eventually be worn away. Facing the choice given by young Zishi, Chu Feiyang hesitated. While he was hesitating, Su Wan had already been bitten to death by the zombies. The story and the original owner's memory all stopped here. Chapter 88. Zombies and humans are very different. They don't need to rest and feed on flesh and blood. Even if they are injured, they can use their strong self-healing ability to slowly recover their broken bodies. Su Wan wandered in S-City's enemy-occupied area for 3 days. The wounds on her body disappeared. At least. She looks like a healthy and normal person. Female zombie. Fundamentally speaking, zombies don't need to eat every day, but they can't not ingest nutrients for a long time. And for zombies, the best nutrients are undoubtedly human flesh and blood. Eat people. Su Wan naturally won't do that. She doesn't want to be disgusted to death by herself. Now that the end of the world has just begun, many ordinary people and even ability users don't know that zombies have crystal nuclei in their brains. Young Zishi relied on this foresight and picked up a lot of loopholes. Su Wan also decided to take this path. She took advantage of the darkness and slowly wandered to the city. She found the zombies that were killed during the day and used her sharp claws to take out the crystal nuclei in their brains. Each crystal nucleus was about the same size, like a gem. Su Wan hesitated for a moment and opened her mouth to use her sharp teeth to bite a few times. Crack, crack, the crystal nucleus was directly chewed and absorbed by her. Well, now it seems that having sharp teeth and nails isn't a bad thing. After absorbing the first crystal nucleus, Su Wan clearly felt that her body was comfortably warm and full of strength. Thus, her gaze brightened and she couldn't help but speed up the pace of collecting the crystal nucleus. It must be known that this place wouldn't be safe if she waited until dawn. With her current body's level of a low-level zombie, if she was seen by an ability user, she would definitely be killed in seconds. Not knowing how long had passed, Su Wan had already collected a small bag full of crystal nuclei. She carried the bag of crystal nuclei on her back and calculated that these crystal nuclei are not only enough for a week's rations, but also enough for her to upgrade from the lowest level zombie to a level 2 zombie. If her luck is good, she might even get some variant skills. Just as Su Wan was about to turn around and leave, a low cry suddenly came from behind her. Ah! Early in the morning, on the dark street, an 8 or 9-year-old little boy was desperately covering his mouth, widening his eyes and looking at Su Wan in horror. Ah! Su Wan slowly turned around. She didn't expect to see a human at this time and place, and a child. Well, has she realized that she is no longer a human? Su Wan walked towards the little boy step by step. The little boy seemed to be scared to death, his face extremely pale. Perhaps it was because he was scared to the limit. The little boy suddenly said, "You, come here. Don't come near me." It was obviously a young and terrified voice, but strangely enough, it was especially pleasant to listen to, as if it could inspire people's hearts. Spirit element. A naturally mutated spiritual type Esper. Su Wan's footsteps paused and slightly pondered. Right now, from little Yen Yu's point of view, the scene before his eyes was like this: the dirty female zombie was carrying a strange bag. At this moment, she was standing in front of him with her head tilted and one hand supporting her chin. Her greenish-black nails seemed like they would pierce her pale and swollen head at any time and then spurt out green blood. Sob, 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 just thinking about it makes me want to die. What to do? Was he really going to die? The 9-year-old Yen Yu was very afraid. Apart from fear, there was only boundless despair. Yes, he's going to die. His father died, his mother died, his sister also died. Now, he's also going to die. Die in a street that no one knows, die in the hands of a female zombie. Yen Yu also wanted to run away, but right now, he didn't even have the strength and courage to move. How could he run? Just like what his older sister said before, as the youngest child in the family, the only boy, he was naturally more cowardly than other girls. Ho ho, the sound of the zombie so close at hand made Yen Yu simply close his eyes in fear. As a result, the death he imagined did not come. Yen Yu felt his stiff hands being carefully lifted up by someone, and then, two things were placed in his palm. This is. Yen Yu trembled and cautiously opened his eyes. He saw that the female zombie had returned to her original place and used her sharp nails to write a line of words on the ground, "For you. Use your own spirit power to absorb them. It's good for your ability." This female zombie actually had her own consciousness. Yen Yu blankly looked at the crystal nucleus in his palm and then looked at the figure that had already turned around and slowly left after crossing out the words on the ground. Suddenly, he felt that this figure didn't seem to be as terrifying and ugly as he imagined. Seeing Su Wan's figure disappear into the street, Yen Yu clenched the crystal nucleus in his palm. Spirit power. What is spirit power? Do I really have an ability like what she said? Thousands of miles away, B City, Greenleaf Research Institute, Underground Research Institute. A group of researchers wearing white coats were frantically busy in the laboratory, and there were many glass covers placed around the laboratory. Some of those glassware were filled with a thick green liquid, and some were soaked with zombie corpses and various human organs. This place was the Zombie Virus Research Institute. And the primary zombies that appeared in the end of the world were the failed experimental products of the supreme leader of this research institute, Dr. L. Dr. L, formerly known as Ling Jing, was born in a biological family. He was a genius in the eyes of others since he was a child, and there was often a fine line between a genius and a madman. That's right. In fact, Dr. L was a downright madman. He had been secretly studying the zombie virus and put the virus all over the world in an attempt to stimulate human genes through this virus and promote the historical evolution of human beings. From the release of the virus to the arrival of the end of the world, 2 months had passed. Because the virus that was released was actually the failed product of Dr. L's research, it did not achieve the effect predicted at the beginning, which made him very irritable. So for the past 2 months, Dr. L had been shutting himself in the innermost laboratory of the research institute and never took a step out. The experimenters under him were well aware of the doctor's temper. Even if something big happened, no one dared to disturb the doctor's experiment. And today, the door of the laboratory suddenly opened and a slender figure appeared in front of everyone. He had a tall figure, long straight legs, and a spotless white lab coat. Su-Rui quietly stood at the entrance of the laboratory, a pair of cold star-like eyes filled with a dangerous and gloomy light. Doctor. Everyone couldn't help but put down the experiment in their hands and looked at the peerless and indifferent man in front of them with fanatical eyes. Su-Rui had just received the memory of the plot. At this time, his face was frighteningly gloomy. He knew that Su-Wan was already dead. No, it should be that the original owner Su-Wan had already been killed by Yang Zishi. How could his Xiao-Wan die? I'm going to S City. After coldly leaving this sentence, Su-Rui quickly turned and left. He was going there to find Su-Wan. Whether it was turning into a zombie or a ghost. Chapter 89. After eating crystal nuclei for a week, although Su-Wan was still somewhat unaccustomed to her new body, she also noticed the changes in her body these past few days. Her movements were more flexible than a week ago and the strength in her body was also much greater. Su-Wan reckoned that she could now flatten a car with one slap. Cough cough, in short, it was a violent female zombie or something. Now, there were fewer and fewer people in S City. Most of the ability users brought their families and rushed out of the enemy-occupied area, heading towards the nearest rescue station in S City. The crystal nuclei in Su-Wan's bag were no longer in stock. She wanted to take advantage of the darkness to go to the city to dig some crystal nuclei back. After digging a certain amount, she should also leave this place. The sky, unknowingly became dark. Ho, 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 ho. Night was the most favorite time for zombies. Looking at the excited companions around her, Su-Wan also couldn't say what kind of mood she was in. These zombies were also once living humans. Now that they had lost their minds, they became a walking corpse. This situation was not much better than those who struggled to survive in the end of the world. Su-Wan slowly walked towards the city alone. Wherever she went, those low-level zombies that felt her aura all obediently retreated. They had no thoughts, but instinctively perceived the strength and danger of this companion. Yes, Su-Wan was now a level 2 zombie. Although she didn't activate her mutated ability, she relied on her increasingly nimble movements and the explosive power within her body. She wasn't afraid of an ordinary level 1 ability user at all. When Su-Wan walked into the city of S City, there were even more zombies wandering on the streets. They hadn't eaten fresh meat for a long time and could only look for rotten corpses on the streets to satisfy their hunger. Seeing those zombies squatting on the ground and using their long nails to cut the flesh of the corpses, chewing in big mouthfuls. At first, seeing this scene, Su-Wan still felt a bit disgusted, but now because she deeply understood the cruelty of the end of the world, Su-Wan could already turn a blind eye to this kind of scene. This was the law of the jungle. In the end of the world, this human purgatory, people struggled to survive. How could zombies not be the same? Everyone wanted to survive. Such a simple request, in this end of the world, was the most expensive extravagant hope. Bypassing the street with the most zombies, Su-Wan unknowingly came to the place where she met the little boy last time. Hey! The boy wearing the dusty old school uniform was still standing in the original place. His face was pale and he seemed to be resisting the panic in his heart. Seeing Su-Wan's figure, the little boy suddenly jumped out of his hiding place and shouted at her, "You can understand my words, right?" Nod your head if you understand. What was this feeling of being treated as a strange creature? Su-won hesitated and nodded. Seeing Su-won nod, the little boy's face lit up. He hesitated for a moment before gathering his courage and taking a step forward. Standing in front of Su-won, he slowly opened his palm. In his palm, there were 7 to 8 crystal nuclei. I've been waiting for you. These are the things I'm returning to you. When he said this, the little boy looked at Su-won with sparkling eyes, humbly asking for praise. Ho, ho. Su-won opened her mouth and could only make such a sound. Are you saying thank you? Hearing Su-won's voice, the little boy helped her translate, I know you're a good person. And you're a good zombie. Can I be friends with you? I'm called Yenyu, what's your name? Yenyu. Hearing this name, Su-won only felt that her luck was also heaven-defying. This seemingly innocent and even a little timid boy in front of her would actually be the newspaper's world-destroying villain Big Boss in the end of the world in the future, on par with Dr. L. And, of course, the newspaper was not innate. It was said that every vicious and merciless villain boss had a melodramatic and heavenly bitter past, and Yenyu became a big villain because he received some stimulation. And the key person who changed the trajectory of his life was called Su-yen. She was Su-won's lost younger sister. Well, this was all ape-dung-ah. Su-won thought of all the memories she received about this world in her previous life. In her previous life, Su-won had never been able to find her own younger sister. At that time, she and Chu Feiyang established Feiyang Base together. At that time, everything in the base was on the right track, but it was suddenly raided by a wave of zombie army. This group of zombie army was manipulated by someone, and the mastermind behind the scenes was Yenyu, who possessed an S-rank mutated spiritual ability. At that time, Yenyu was already an 18 or 19-year-old youth, and his current appearance was like a completely different person. Yenyu, whose spiritual power was off the charts, led the zombie army and was about to break into the city. At this time, Chu Feiyang and Su-won stepped forward bravely, and when he saw Su-won's appearance, Yenyu suddenly froze. Right now, is the female lead's halo on? It turned out that when Yenyu was young, he encountered a great change in the end of the world. He wandered alone in the occupied area of S-City. At that time, he met Su-yen, who had also lost his family. Su-yen had been mischievous since childhood. Although his age was similar to Yenyu's, his courage was much bigger than his. The two children got together to wander the world. Speaking of which, they were also blessed with great life, allowing them to escape from the mouths of zombies time and time again. Unfortunately, good times didn't last long. 3 years later, Su-yen awakened a plant-type ability, and the two of them stumbled their way to the third largest base in China at that time, Longyan Base. At that time, Su-yen and Yenyu were already in love with each other, so she naturally wouldn't be threatened. On the contrary, she resisted to the death. That small leader of the base finally flew into a rage out of humiliation and brought people to tie Yenyu and Su-yen outside the base. He let his subordinates control Yenyu's hands and feet, making Yenyu watch helplessly as he raped Su-yen. Su-yen bit her tongue to commit suicide out of humiliation, but that person still didn't let her go and threw her corpse into the group of zombies with a grin on his face. Such a scene finally stimulated the dark heart under Yenyu's timid appearance. His mutated spiritual ability was suddenly stimulated at that time and directly rose to level 3 ability. Yenyu went berserk and killed everyone. The group of zombies on the side also gave way to him, but at this time, he only felt a bone-deep despair. When he found Su-yen, she had already turned into an ice-cold corpse, and it was still a broken remains. Who said that zombies were the most terrible in the end of the world? The most terrible thing, since ancient times, was only the human heart. Since then, what Yenyu saw was the ugliness and greed of this world's humans. In the end of the world, these ugliness were infinitely magnified. In comparison, the zombie group was more calm and united than humans. So Yen Yu began to use his spiritual ability to learn to control zombies. Zhe slowly formed his own zombie army. After the army was formed, the first thing he did was to destroy Longyan base. Everywhere he went, not a single person survived. However, these were still not enough for Yen Yu at that time, far from enough. He broke through one base after another until he met the woman who looked very similar to Su Yan in Feiyang base. She said that she was Su Yan's older sister. In the plot of the previous life, under the halo of the original Su Wan as the female lead, Yen Yu finally gave up the great ideal of exterminating humanity and brought his zombie army to a place where no one could find him. And now, Su Wan looked at the little wimpy boy in front of her, his eyes sparkling with hope. This is her own brother-in-law. In that case, if she had been paying attention to Yen Yu's every move, could she find the lost Su Yan in advance and avoid the tragedy of the two people in this life? It has to be said that when Su Wan extended a helping hand to Yen Yu in the beginning and gave him 2 crystal nuclei, her purpose was still not pure enough. She wanted to test the waters and make friends with this seemingly special ability user. If wasting 2 crystal nuclei can make friends with an ability user because of this, then this transaction is simply a big profit. And now, knowing that this little boy turned out to be one of the future big bosses, Yen Yu, Su Wan's desire to help him became a bit stronger. It can't be said that it was because of kinship towards Su Yan. In fact, she was only borrowing the body of the original owner and didn't have too many feelings that belonged to the original owner. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.